Hey everyone, Firescale Audiobooks here. If there's a novel you'd love to hear more of, you can support us on Patreon or Ko-fi. Depending on your tier, I'll make extra parts just for the stories you're most excited about. Usually I can only upload 4 to 5 parts of each novel, but with your support we can go beyond that. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. It helps more than you know.
The heavy rain stopped for more than an hour. It was already evening when the rock tortoise came near the Bloodbeard base camp. Dinner time was spent in a silent atmosphere. Liang wore a dried camouflage uniform with a saber around his waist and a waterproof bag on his back. He looked at the girl's worried gaze, smiled and said, "After I'm gone, no matter who comes, you're not allowed to open the door." "Then you let the big lizard bring things back?" Mino asked weakly. The girl instantly thought of the scene of the big lizard moving back when she was in the camp. Liang's mouth twitched and he thought for a while and said, "One long and 2 short knocks, this is a secret signal to open the door." Bang tilde 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 bang tilde bang tilde. He knocked on the tabletop with his hand and said after the demonstration, "It's probably like this." "I see." Mino nodded his head and tried to remember. "Don't worry, I guess I will be back later." Liang grabbed the girl's rabbit ears and smiled and said, "If you are sleepy, go to sleep first. I'll wait for you to come back." Mino blushed and his voice became quieter and quieter. "I dare to sleep." She was afraid that a thief would find the little black tortoise and climb up to the house to steal something. "Okay, I'm leaving." Liang only heard the first half. If he heard all of them, he would probably didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Be careful," Mino shouted crisply. "Wait for the good stuff." Liang waved his hand and walked from the rock tortoise to the ground in the eyes of the girl with dismay. The small bright spot in the distance is the base camp of Bloodbeard. Walking from here, it's just completely dark. Liang looked up at the sky, and the sky seemed brighter after the rain. The red ghost spider opened the road ahead to explore whether there were patrolling thieves. Driving on the road is very boring, especially when the surrounding environment is desolate, rocky, and sandy soil. The ground at this time, because of the rain, will stick to the mud when stepped on. Finally, when it was completely dark, Liang came to the outskirts of Bloodbeard's base camp and occasionally saw some thieves holding torches on patrol. Suddenly, a stone was thrown not far away. Slap tilde tilde, it happened to be not far from Liang's feet. He didn't feel the danger intuitively, so he didn't hide from the stones. Liang said nothing, looking at the place where the stones were thrown in the dark. After a while, a figure with a black hood and cloak walked over. "Sorry, I didn't mean to offend you just now." The figure shrouded in the hooded cloak made a cold female voice. "I just want to remind. Who are you? What do you want to do?" Liang raised his eyes slightly and glanced imperceptibly at the red ghost spider behind the hooded figure. In fact, after the figure threw a stone, it was locked by the red ghost spider. If the figure made dangerous movements, it would now be wrapped into a cocoon by the spider's silk. The hooded figure asked back, "Are you a bounty hunter? You also took the mission of the Moon Lake tribe?" "I don't want to answer." Liang glanced at the other person and turned around to go to the thieves' base camp. "We can cooperate," the hooded figure said anxiously. Liang indifferently refused. "I will not cooperate with people who hide their heads and show their tails." "I have a topographic map of the band of thieves." The hooded figure hurriedly stepped forward. "Why are you cooperating with me?" Liang stopped but was curious about the other party's intentions. "You are a strong man," the hooded figure said naturally. "You don't know me." Liang rolled his eyes and said in a bad mood, "How do you know that I am a strong man? Maybe I am the thief's companion." "You are definitely not a thief." The hooded figure was a little proud and said, "The thief is not as clean as you dress." Liang understood in seconds, and the other party judged whether he was a strong man based on his dress. He replied indifferently, "It's raining today." The hooded figure fluttered and said, "It is a strong man who dares to act alone in the wilderness on a rainy day." Although Liang felt that the other party was arguing, however, there is still some truth. Even if Bloodbeard leaves, it's not so easy to get in inside. The figure with the hood seemed very confident and made a pleasant cold voice. "Your Excellency, as long as you cooperate with me, you will definitely get a Bloodbeard crystal fish." "What is a crystal fish?" Liang asked curiously. Aren't you the hunter who took over the mission of the Moon Lake tribe? How could you not know the crystal fish?" The hooded figure was full of consternation and his voice was a little louder. "You didn't come to the treasure house of Bloodbeard. Everything is what you think." Liang spread his hands. "What's your goal?" The hooded figure backed slightly, still shaking in the cloak. "Then what is your goal?" Liang asked rhetorically. He accidentally got a bit of information and it turned out that Bloodbeard had a treasure trove. Moreover, he was not the only one who was paying attention to the Bloodbeard. Cunning man. the hooded figure murmured. She tried so long and she didn't get any information. If you want to talk, at least you have to show a little sincerity. Liang glanced at the hood on the figure. I'm afraid you will be scared if you meet. The hooded figure said in a low voice. That will be known after I have to meet. Liang said lightly. The thieves' base camp is a half-moon-shaped valley composed of 3 hills. The hooded figure shook his head with inexplicable emotions and said coldly, the hill in the middle is the highest, 150 meters high. Why tell me this? Liang frowned. Such information will be known by a little investigation during the day, and it can be regarded as compensation for my offending you before. The hooded figure turned and left after speaking. Is the face under the hood really that scary? Liang raised his eyebrows and muttered, watching the figure disappear into the darkness. He wouldn't think the mysterious figure was kind. The other party probably wanted to follow him in, or he did not go in until he made a move. Unfortunately, I'm going to disappoint her. Liang shook his head with a chuckle, turned and walked towards the thieves' base camp, slowly disappearing. After a while, the figure with a hood reappeared here. She surveyed her surroundings and said in astonishment, why do people suddenly disappear? My footprints are also missing. Similar to what Liang thought, she really wanted to follow in behind. What a great guy came here. The hooded figure is full of anxiety and expectation in a cold voice. Maybe he can really enter the treasure house of Bloodbeard. In the end, she also sneaked into the thieves' base camp. Liang walks in the shadows of rocks and mounds. He encountered a towering stone and used spider silk to jump forward. In some spacious areas, Liang used his mimicry stealth to walk slowly, investigating the layout of the thieves' personnel. Unexpectedly, it was arranged like this. Liang patrolled the half-moon-shaped valley. He was surprised to find that he had to go to the hill in the middle of the valley, get to the top of the hills on the left and right, and then walk the suspension bridge to reach the hill in the center. And Bloodbeard's home is in the central hill. The first difficulty is how to enter from the entrance of the left and right hills. Liang has visually observed that there are 20 people detected at a single entrance, and there are often teams of patrols passing by. Don't tell me the guard here is pretty tight. Liang sighed. He can get in by using mimic stealth, and he needs someone to lead the way, such as opening the door. Forget it, it's better to climb in from outside. Liang decided not to take the ordinary road, and climbed directly from the foot of the central hill to the top with bare hands. After all, it was a waste of time to enter from the entrance of the left and right hills, and I don't know what levels there are. He doesn't have much time to spend here. Who knows if Bloodbeard will come back suddenly. Liang made a decision and sneaked to the foot of the central hill, where he discovered several secret whistles. Click. It took him a few minutes to resolve a few secret whistles with the red ghost spider. This thief leader is really cautious. Liang couldn't help but sigh with emotion. He began to call the porter out. Zai Okai, come here and meet. The work of moving things still has to fall on the 3-color lizard, otherwise one person will not be able to take too many good things. A few minutes later, the tricolor lizard crawled out of the shadow and rubbed Liang's palm. I'll give you something to evolve, and you have to work hard later. Liang patted the head of the 3-color lizard. Hiss tilde tilde, the tricolor lizard tilted its head blankly. Shoo tilde tilde. Ready to go. Liang spouted spider silk from his palm, stuck it to the rock wall, and began to climb up. 2 domesticated beasts crawled one after the other. At a height of 150 meters, there are also 30-story buildings. With the help of spider silk, it is not difficult for Liang to get up, but some protruding rock walls will be a bit difficult. He didn't know how long it took, but he felt that when he was about to reach the top, he moved more and more cautiously for fear that the noise would be heard. There are no dangers along the way. When Liang climbed to the top of the hill, there was something wrong. There is a wooden dome on the top of the hill. With the help of the fire light projected from the gap, the dome is really not small. What is this dome for? Liang thought a little. Suddenly he thought of a possibility. Wouldn't the dome be where the Bloodbeard lived? Maybe his treasure trove is inside. Liang sighed. It's really possible, since I think it may be the treasure house of the Bloodbeard. It is not a good way for Liang to find the gap into the inside of the dome, pry or smash it with a knife. If there are people in it, it is not a case of being arrested. Liang walked around the dome and found that there were only small gaps. Just when he was about to climb to the top of the dome to take a look, he heard a small quarrel inside the dome. My father has gone out and now I have the final say here. No one can go in without the boss's order. Get out of the way, I just go in and get some water. Boss blood knife, you know the boss's temper, so don't embarrass us. Don't use my father to crush me. Boom, XX stuff. There was a quarrel followed by the sound of smashing the door, which was accompanied by curses. Afterwards, it was quiet again. The son of Bloodbeard, Mu Liang's mouth raised slightly. The place where Bloodbeard wouldn't even let his son enter, I can imagine there is something precious in it. Tilde tilde. Mu Liang used the spider silk to stick it and climbed lightly to the top of the dome, which really made him discover a gap. This is a very long gap, at least 10 meters long and about 10 inches at its widest point. A distance of 10 inches is just right for a person to get in. Why is there such a big seam? Mu Liang cautiously did not go in immediately, but let the red ghost spider go in to find the way. After a short while there was no sound inside. Mu Liang borrowed spider silk and descended into the gap. When he entered inside, he found that the space inside the dome was large. It turned out that the top of the hill was hollowed out to form a huge space, and the dome was just a small cover. Mu Liang touched the ground gently with a square wooden door under his feet, which is the door to this space or an upward opening entrance. The quarrel just now came from the other side of the gate. Mu Liang left the gate and stood next to measure the height of the space, which was about 10 meters. He looked at the gap in the dome and found the bracket beside it, as well as huge gears and some ropes. No, it's actually a removable lid. Mu Liang was shocked to discover that the dome can be moved and opened, and it is no wonder that there will be a 10-meter-long gap. This Bloodbeard really has an idea. The interior space is divided into several parts, of which the most eye-catching is a piece of green. Mu Liang came to Nine Heavens, the world of wasteland apocalypse, and finally saw the green plants. He looked at the dozens of green plants planted in the ground and whispered softly, "It seems that the domes that can be opened are all designed for this green. These plants are a bit like cabbage." Mu Liang squatted on a square vegetable patch. He grabbed a little vegetable leaf and smelled it and said in surprise, "It's really cabbage." Mu Liang got up and came to a wooden shelf looking at the familiar green and red fruits on it. He grinned silently. There are still tomatoes. "Bloodbeard, you are really my lucky bag, even tea trees." Mu Liang saw another familiar plant in the corner. It was a low tea tree. There are still several kinds that I don't know. Mu Liang looked around and found that he knew only 2 or 3 kinds of plants. Some plants are half withered and are about to die. Bloodbeard is a bit strange. Why not eat the dying plants? Mu Liang took a closer look at the dying plants and thought of a possibility. Unless these dying plants are very precious and are not a last resort, Bloodbeard still wants to save it. System, can the domestication point also domesticate plants? Mu Liang thought of a possibility and asked the system in his mind. Ding, plants can be domesticated. In this case, I will dig it all away. Mu Liang looked at a few unknown plants that were about to wither, and he estimated that they could survive for a while. There are more than a dozen plants on the ground. He is a bit embarrassed. Look for other things first. You can move them one night. Mu Liang decided to find out the beast's spar. If the tricolor lizard and the red ghost spider evolve again, moving things will be fast. Mu Liang looked around and found a room with the door closed. Click tilde tilde with a light push, the door opened. The good things are inside. Mu Liang walked in cautiously. Seeing that there was a big bed inside, he immediately understood that the room was a bedroom with a blood beard. Mu Liang opened the drawer of the bedside cabinet and saw a bulging cloth bag. When he opened it, he found that it was full of beast spars. He couldn't help but grinned and said, "Bloodbeard is really self-confident. Just let the important things go like this." No wonder Bloodbeard is so confident. Who would have thought someone would climb in from outside the hill? Mu Liang reached into the cloth bag and said generously, "System, it's all absorbed." Ding, successfully transformed energy and gained evolution point 3866. It's really a wave of riches. Mu Liang looked at the more than 3,800 evolution points, and the upward arc of his mouth opened wider. With so many evolution points at once, his calculations have been successful. Mu Liang was happy for a while, calmed down, and searched the room again. In the cupboard beside the bed, a box of plant seeds and some gems were also found. This is another surprise. After Mu Liang opened the box, he found that the seeds were sorted into small cloth bags and there were 7 or 8 kinds of seeds. He packed a box of seeds into his backpack and carried important things with him. Take the gems back and play with me, no. Mu Liang casually put the gems in his pocket and then looked through the closet. In addition to the clothes placed in several closets, there is just a roll of cloth. Do people in this world like to put cloth in the closet? Mu Liang murmured. His hands are not slow and all the cloth is placed on a table. A total of 15 rolls of cloth, 8 colors. They all like to store them and don't wear them out. Mu Liang curled his mouth and shook his head and said inspiringly, "Let me help them dress." In addition to cloth, more than a dozen swords of various styles as well as spears and spears were also found. Bring the sword back, and almost melted it in an iron pot. Liang bundled all the swords and put them together with a dozen rolls of cloth. He then searched the room, tapping the wall habitually. Boom, there was a hollow voice and there was a secret door. It seems that the real good things are inside. Liang raised his eyebrows, found the way to open the secret door, and opened the secret door easily. This is a room a bit like a study, with a shelf, a table, and a chair. It's that simple. Liang stepped to the table. Some animal skins were placed on the table. He looked through the animal skins and found that they were all plant patterns and text introductions. This is Oracle. When Liang saw the text, he was shocked and lost his voice. How can it be a hieroglyph? He eagerly looked at other animal skins and found that they were all animal and plant patterns, as well as some special recipe steps. Oracle hieroglyphs, how old is this world? Moreover, what's the matter with cabbage and tomatoes? Is it another parallel world? Liang's mind is a little messy. There is so little information that he can't even push the deduction. Forget it, take these back and study them later. Liang shook his head and packed all the animal skins into his backpack. How much can be regarded as a gain? For example, the writing system is finally known. Liang searched the dark room for a while but didn't find any other good things, so he left the dark room and returned to the room. He left the bedroom and went to another room next to him. There are only 3 rooms in the entire space. The first is the dark room of the bedroom, and now the second one is searched. Squeak tilde tilde, the door of this room was also unlocked, showing how confident Bloodbeard was. It turned out to be a storage room. Liang saw that the room was full of wooden barrels, let alone hundreds of them. Wow randomly shook the wooden barrel, which was full of water. In the center of the room is a large wooden barrel about 1.5 meters high, which is a bit abnormal compared to other half-meter high wooden barrels. Isn't this big wooden barrel also filled with water? Liang stepped forward to open the lid of the wooden barrel and found several stones pressed against the lid of the wooden barrel. After removing the stone, he did not immediately open the lid of the barrel but gently opened a seam. Wow, suddenly water gushed from the gap and a crystal-clear object came out. What is it? Liang reacted swiftly and his 5 fingers spewed spider silk, restraining the crystal-clear object. Slap tilde tilde, the object bound by the spider silk struggled and splashed with water droplets. Isn't this the crystal fish that the mysterious woman said? Liang carefully observed what was in the spider silk. It turned out to be a crystal-clear arowana. Yes, the shape is a bit like the arowana of the earth. The crystal fish is just like its name. This fish is as transparent as crystal, and even the fish bones are as transparent as dark crystal. It's a beautiful fish, but I don't know how it tastes. Liang looked at the artwork like fish and couldn't help but chirp, slap tilde tilde. The crystal fish seemed to feel the danger, struggling violently, and water drops quickly gathered on the fish. For a short while, a ball of water the size of a football was wrapped around the crystal fish. Liang stared at his black eyes, looking at the crystal fish in the water polo in disbelief. He blinked, and then looked at the crystal fish surrounded by a ball of water. What was outrageous was that the water ball would not fall in the air. So the water produced by the crystal fish is the water source for the Bloodbeard thieves. Liang shook the crystal fish in the spider silk, and the water ball was not deformed even after being thrown. Only a little drop of water scattered and flew out. He found a small wooden bucket for crystal fish and stuffed it in, and clamped the wooden bucket under his armpit. No wonder the Moon Lake tribe, which has 10,000 people, will offer rewards for stealing crystal fish. In a wasteland-like apocalyptic world, with such a shortage of water, the crystal fish is definitely a treasure fish. A fish that can save lives. Liang got out of the room with a small wooden barrel and pushed open the 3rd room door. This room is full of jerky, enough for 1,000 people to eat for a month. Bloodbeard is really rich. No wonder it can pull up a band of thieves of 500 people. Liang's mouth was slightly raised and he reached out and pulled the jerky. The quality of the smoked meat was pretty good. He felt more and more that it was a very correct choice to move here in Bloodbeard. How do you move these things out? Liang thoughtfully walked out of the room and came to the outside space. He looked at the 3 open rooms on the left and a dozen plants on the right. Moreover, the gap in the dome is too small. Liang curled his lips helplessly. In the gap in the upper part of the dome, the tricolor lizard was still staying on the top of the dome. It could not climb into the 10-inch gap. If you open the dome, the noise will be too loud. Liang muttered to himself. He glanced at the gate on the ground. As long as the gatekeeper outside was not deaf, he would definitely hear the noise. Wait, what if they find out I don't go through the door? It's okay to block the door. Liang's brain flashed and he felt that he had too many worries. You can't steal them all quietly. If you move them all away, then move them all away if they are noisy. Now there are 3,800 evolution points, let's evolve you to level 4 first. Liang's mind made the red ghost spider come over. System, let the red ghost spider evolve to level 4. Ding, level 3 red ghost spider evolves to level 4, deduct 1,000 evolution points. Ding, level 4 red ghost spider has evolved successfully. Ding. Level 4 Starscream's talent evolution, basic control. Ding, deploy the trainer's basic manipulation ability to synchronize level 4 basic manipulation. Liang felt the warm current emerging from his body, and the strengthening effect was very good. Before he could feel the strengthening of his body carefully, he heard from the dome. Click, click tilde tilde, there was a squeezing sound from the dome. The tricolor lizard thought that it could evolve level 4. It just squeezed in through a 10-inch gap and climbed down with its paws against the dome ceiling. Liang glanced at the scales that were squeezed out of the tricolor lizard. He couldn't help rolling his eyes and said in a bad mood, "You really are fighting." The system allows the tricolor lizard to evolve to level 4. Ding, level 3 tricolor lizard evolves to level 4, deduct 1,000 evolution points. Ding, level 4 tricolor lizard evolved successfully. Ding, level 4 tricolor lizard talent evolution, mimicry scaly hardening. Ding, deploy the trainer's mimicry scaly hardening ability to synchronize level 4 mimicry scaly hardening. The familiar sense of strengthening struck again, and Liang squinted his eyes to enjoy the hard-won sense of strengthening. Unfortunately, the persistence is not strong and the sense of strengthening fades after a while. System view properties. Liang opened the system to view the properties. Trainer Liang, physical strength 34, speed 33.7, strength 34.4, spirit 45, lifespan 24 years 560 years, taming point 10. Refreshed every day, can be accumulated evolution point 1972. Ability mimicry scaly hardening level 400, silk control level 4, earth rock burst level 3, ordinary human body is 1, domesticated beasts 3, color lizard talent mimicry scaly hardening. Level 4 red ghost spider talent basic control. Level 4. Rock tortoise talent burst thorn in the ground. Level 3. After Liang read the attributes, his strength was greatly strengthened again and his lifespan reached 560 years. The biggest change is that both abilities have evolved. Hiss tilde tilde, the tricolor lizard stuck out his tongue and licked Liang's palm excitedly. It's a bit itchy. Liang's body was agitated and his finger tapped the head of the tricolor lizard. Level 4 tricolor lizards have grown to 4 meters in size and their scales have also changed. The triangular pyramidal scales with 3 colors distributed on one scale look more colorful than ever. Squeak. The red ghost spider was not to be outdone and ran up and rubbed it. I learned how to fight for favor. Liang patted the red ghost spider funny. The 4th level red ghost spider grew to 2 meters in size and the grimace on the back became more hideous. The 8 spider feet turned pure red, just as pointed as a spear, and it is estimated that one stabbing would kill people. You all get familiar with your own abilities, and you will move things later. Liang played around with the 2 domesticated beasts and let them stay next to each other. After that, he briefly tested the ability and found that the ability evolution will not remove the previous characteristics, but will only be strengthened, and extend new capabilities on the basis. The mimicry scaly hardening of the tricolor lizard also has the characteristics of invisibility. After the invisibility is released, the scales harden and attack instantly. The red ghost spider can still spin silk, and its new ability is to control the activities of 100 silks at the same time, which can be described as a powerful one. Very good, the new ability should be good for packing boxes. Liang found a way to become familiar with his abilities. Mimicry scaly hardened. Liang's ability to activate, the whole arm spreads 3 color textures, and the style is a bit like an electronic circuit diagram. This pattern is really cool. Kiang, he put down the wooden barrel containing the crystal fish and touched it with his 2 arms, making a little sound similar to the collision of stones and metal. My skin should be hardened, and my defense power is more than that between stone and metal. Liang moved his 5 fingers and found a little bit stiff, however it does not affect the excavation of soil. Shusha. Liang used his new ability to dig the soil and transplant all the plants into wooden barrels. He then sealed the lid of the barrel with spider silk, manipulating several spider silks at a time, and sealed a wooden barrel in 3s or 2s. Little Kai is here to work. Liang beckoned to let the tricolor lizard come over. Use spider silk to fix each barrel on both sides of the back of the tricolor lizard. It seems we can add another row. Liang looked at the back of the tricolor lizard. There are 4 wooden barrels on one side and 8 wooden barrels on both sides. Add another row of wooden barrels to the 2 rows of wooden barrels to form a product shape. Hiss tilde tilde, the tricolor lizard twisted uncomfortably. Hey, don't mess around, you'll be fine soon. Liang did it as he thought of it, adding a row of wooden barrels to the back of the tricolor lizard, a total of 12 wooden barrels. 3-color lizard. Liang was very satisfied with his own masterpiece and said with a chuckle, "Except for tomatoes, the rest of the plants are packed in boxes. The vines of tomatoes are a bit brittle, and it is easy to cause death and injury if transplanted. Have to think of another way to transplant. It's not that you can't pack it." Liang looked at the tomato vine and thought about it and thought of a way. What he wanted to express was conveyed to Starscream with spiritual thoughts. "Zio Hung, come over and help me wrap the tomato vines into a big cocoon." Squeak tilde tilde. The red ghost spider came over and started spinning, using the spider silk control to pull the vine branches and wrap them into a large cocoon. In 10 minutes, the whole tomato was turned into a white cocoon. Good job. Liang nodded appreciatively and turned to look at the dome. He should open the dome next and make a way for the tricolor lizard. First of all, the gate should be blocked. Liang brought some rocks and lightly pressed them on the gate on the ground, completely blocking the gate. Boom tilde tilde, the stone fell gently on the door panel, and after all, it made a little noise for the guards outside the door to hear. Hey. Did you hear the sound coming from inside? I heard some sounds, did you hear them too? But there should be no one inside. Could someone go in and steal something? Don't be kidding, we have been guarding here, how could anyone get in? It's a pity that I don't have the key, otherwise I will open the door and have a look. Are you trying to die? The last time someone curiously glanced inside, he was slaughtered by the boss. I just talk about it casually. The gatekeeper finally stopped and couldn't get in again. Liang listened to the conversation coming from the door, thinking that they would try to open the door and take a look. He found a spear, came to the edge of the dome, unscrupulously began to pry the plank, ready to open a gap. Bang, bang, bang. The movement is so loud that no matter how deaf the gatekeeper is, he will notice that something is wrong. Why is there such a sound inside? Damn it, someone sneaked in. Hurry up and notify the little blood knife boss that someone has entered the boss's incubation room. Liang ignored the people outside the door and easily removed a 3-meter gap in the edge of the dome. He touched the head of the 3-color lizard and said, "Zio Kai, hurry up and transport it home, and then come and transport it again." The tricolor lizard stuck out its tongue, carrying 12 small wooden barrels on its back, and slowly walked out of the gap in the dome. Its body enters a state of invisibility, and its claws clasp the rock wall and climb down the hill. Next, we will pack the box. Liang wraps some dried meat with spider silk and never eats too much. In the case of water, because of the crystal fish, it doesn't need to be transported much. As for the other miscellaneous things, due to the limited animal power, I didn't plan to move them all away. Zio Hong, you move some dried meat down and hide it in a hidden place farther away. Liang invited the red ghost spider to carry the packaged jerky. Squeak, the red ghost spider carried the dried meat on its sensible back and transported it to the edge of the hill and cliff. It cleverly uses its bassy manipulation ability to hang the dried meat down. A batch of jerky was sent down by hanging, and Starscream went down to carry the jerky. At this time, the son of Bloodbeard greeted outside the gate, "Blood Knife. What are you doing stupidly? Hurry up and smash the door open for me." Zudao sullenly shouted, "I want to see who is so courageous who dares to steal things from our band of thieves." Bang, 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 the gatekeeper began to smash the door. Liang calmly glanced at the trembling pile of stones and was about to smash open the large stone gate full of people. You need to destroy the door and transport the stone to enter. The whole journey is estimated to take 3 hours. Liang piled up all the stones that could be found in the space and fixed it with spider silk. "I'm a little hungry, let's grill some meat." He took down some tables and used firewood to roast the meat. Zizzy. The scent of oil slowly radiated to the surroundings under the flames barbecue. At this moment, the person who smashed the door was stunned when he smelled the scent, and his expression became weird. Co-author, you are so courageous, stealing things and don't want to leave, still eating barbecue. XXB *********, how dare. You smash the door for me, whoever smashes the door first, I will reward him with a bucket of water. The violent roar of the blood knife sounded again and again. Someone had barbecued meat in the incubation room in advance of something he hadn't done. After the blood knife had a temper, he calmly began to arrange, "You and you, all go to the suspension bridge to guard, no one is allowed to let go." To leave the incubation room, the thief must pass through the suspension bridge connecting the left and right hills. Yes, a team of people set on torches and guarded both ends of the 2 suspension bridges. At this time, the hooded figure had just sneaked into the valley and hid behind a shadowy stone. She inadvertently looked up and saw the suspension bridge between the three hills. There were many torches. Could it be the person before was he discovered? The hooded figure guessed. She quietly looked up at the suspension bridge. There was no movement for a long time, and she couldn't help but wonder again. Did he enter the middle hill, or did he not enter? The figure with the hood is a bit difficult to determine. Now that the thieves have been alarmed, the thieves will definitely strengthen their guard, and it will be difficult to enter later. I have run out of time left. The hooded figure touched his cheek sullenly. She raised her head and looked at the hill, and from the corner of her eye she saw several strings of white shaking. What it is. The hooded figure sneaked past, her eyes widened suddenly when she got closer. She covered her mouth tightly, not daring to make a sound. She saw a 2-meter-sized spider carrying some cocoons at this time. Unexpectedly, there was a fierce beast lurking nearby. Rustle. As soon as the wind blew, there was a sound. The man with the hood looked up and saw a few strings of cocoons hanging on the hill. She didn't dare to move and guessed in her heart, "Is there a person in the cocoon?" All the cocoons were moved down, and the red ghost spider picked up a few cocoons and began to move out of the valley. "Would you like to follow along and have a look?" The hooded figure was a little curious. "No, it will reveal traces." Later, she shook her head to deny the idea. It may be an opportunity now. The hooded figure looked up at the cobwebs fluttering in the wind on the hill. She might be able to climb to the top of the hill with the help of spider silk and enter the treasure house of Bloodbeard. Climb or not, the hooded figure tangled. She was afraid of climbing up and being spotted by the fierce beast. However, if you don't climb, this may be your only chance. Climb, why not climb? The hooded figure gritted his teeth. She had never been afraid of death, and she had to seize it if she had the opportunity. A hooded figure kicked a few feet on the rock wall for a run-up, reaching out to catch the floating spider silk. Woo tilde tilde, she took a few deep breaths and started to climb up, pulling the silk. The hooded man climbed to a level with the suspension bridge because it was the back of the hill. Without seeing the location of the suspension bridge, she could only listen to the discussion of the thieves. "I didn't expect someone to invade in. I don't know who it is, I am really bold. Could it be someone within us? Don't talk nonsense, be careful." Hearing this, the hooded figure suddenly understood that the well-dressed man before had sneaked into the thief. It's a pity that it was discovered. "That man can't think of it. I will use the spider silk of the fierce beast to enter the treasure house of Bloodbeard." The figure with the hood was a little self-satisfied and made him refuse to cooperate with her. Now he is blocked inside. "It's almost here, just work harder." She cheered up in her heart, looked up to the top of the hill and could see some light faintly. It took 10 minutes. The hooded figure finally reached the top, but it was only strange to her. How could there be a huge gap in front of me, as if it had been smashed out by someone? Someone inside is grilling. The hooded figure shook his pretty nose and his throat rolled unconsciously. She had been lying in wait outside the Thieves' Valley for more than 10 days and hadn't eaten any food seriously. Could it be the blood knife of Bloodbeard's son in it? The hooded figure moved its fingers and pulled out a longbow and 3 long arrows from the cloak. She skillfully draws the arrow and draws the bow, leaning on her side and slowly approaching the gap, preparing to kill with 1 arrow. Then rushed in to find the target, grabbed it and ran. The hooded figure simulates the process in his mind. She came to the edge of the gap, looked inside and saw a familiar figure in her eyes. It was the cleanly dressed man who was roasting meat leisurely at this time. The hooded figure was shocked and unconsciously made a voice. "How could it be him? You're here too." Liang raised the barbecue in his hand like a friend saying hello. With his current mental attributes, his perception is very strong. When the hooded figure climbed to the top of the hill, he was spotted by Liang. He wanted to wait a while before revealing the other party, but he didn't expect to make a noise. The hooded figure twitched his mouth, reluctantly put away the bow and arrow and stepped into the gap. She was still a little unbelievable and asked, Why are you here? Why are you here?" Liang asked indifferently. "You also climbed up with spider silk." The figure with the hood suddenly realized. She sighed helplessly. "No wonder you don't want to cooperate with me, because you know that there are spider silks that can come up." "No, how did you know that there is spider silk that can come up?" "That spider fierce beast?" The hooded figure realized that something was wrong. She suddenly turned and looked behind her, a 2-meter-sized grimace spider stuck in the gap. "As you can see, Xiaohong is my domesticated beast," Liang said calmly. "So it seems that I took it for granted," the hooded figure said dejectedly. Bringing a domesticated spider beast, no wonder he wouldn't cooperate with her. The hooded figure glanced at the trembling pile of rocks. Even the thieves were blocked outside the door. He could only let out an angry roar. "Hurry up and smash it hard." The hooded figure surreptitiously glanced around, his eyes lit up, and found a mess of mud pits that had been dug. But she did not dare to move for fear of attracting hostility between the man and the beast in front of her. "You are a step late." Liang flipped the barbecue and said faintly, "I got the crystal fish." "Don't worry, my goal is not the crystal fish." The hooded figure can only follow the words. "You didn't come here for the crystal fish, then what are you for?" Liang was a little curious. "Of all the things found so far, the crystal fish is the most precious one. Have you seen a pair of flowers with wings?" The hooded figure said openly, "That flower is the purpose of my coming here. A pair of flowers with wings." Liang frowned and recalled. He thought of a plant that was about to wither and calmly said, "Does there be flowers with wings? Really? Where is it?" The hooded figure couldn't help taking 2 steps forward and shouted anxiously, "Can you show me the flowers?" No, Liang refused without even thinking about it. "That flower is very important to me. I can exchange something for you," the hooded figure said eagerly. "First of all, you are not sincere." Liang glanced at the figure's hood and said coldly, "Will you trade with someone who has never shown his face? You will be scared." The hooded figure said bitterly. She was afraid of intimidating the other party, and then the transaction failed. "I can only decide if you are right after reading it." Liang shook his hand. "However, many people have been scared by me." The hooded figure couldn't help taking a step back. "Really? It doesn't matter if you don't want it." Liang calmly ate the barbecue. After a little while, maybe it was figured out, maybe it was due to the situation. The hooded figure gritted his teeth and said, "If I let you see, would you show me the flowers?" "I didn't want to force you, but I couldn't help being curious." Liang chewed the barbecue, swallowed it and said, "I can promise you, as long as you show it to me, I will show you flowers with wings." "Okay, I hope you can keep your word." The hooded figure said bitterly. She raised her hands and grabbed the sides of the hood and slowly took off the hat back, revealing long, snow-white hair. "White hair is pretty." Liang looked at the white-haired girl with her head down. "What about this?" The white-haired girl suddenly raised her head, her pretty face with white fat as jade skin, silver-white eyes, and a tall nose. However, the only thing that was out of place was under the girl's eyelids. A small patch of scarlet lines appeared on the right cheek, which looked like an electronic circuit diagram. It spreads all the way to the neck, and then you can't see it anymore. Liang's expression was stunned, and the figure under the hood was unexpectedly beautiful. "I said everything, you will be scared." The white-haired girl looked pale when she saw the other person's sluggish look. Like the people who saw her before, they were all frightened by the infection of the virtual ghost. She stared at her silver-white eyes, pressed her lower lips tightly, and resisted the urge to put on her hood. "Your texture, although only slightly worse than my 3-color." Liang came back to his senses and praised, "But it's still pretty cool." The white-haired girl tilted her head, her eyes dull. "What is this man talking about? Why is she a little bit confused?" "Aren't you afraid of me?" The white-haired girl asked, her eyes widened. "Why are you afraid of you? Because of the lines on your face." Liang blinked his black eyes. "Is there anything special about this scarlet pattern? Still have something to pay attention to?" "Number." "Look seriously, these are true." The white-haired girl hurriedly stepped forward, pointing to the scarlet lines on her face. "Don't tell me it's pretty." Liang carefully stared at the lines on the girl's face. "The scarlet lines will still shine, which is really cool." "Pretty." The white-haired girl muttered to herself, her silver-white eyes dull. It was the first time that she heard someone praise the virtual ghost infection from someone else's mouth. The white-haired girl's eyes focused blankly, looking at each other's black eyes complicatedly, trying to see if she was lying. What she saw was a deep and natural gaze. He was serious, not lying, not deceiving her, not hiding disgust. Xiao Beifa suddenly couldn't speak. An emotion of being recognized and praised for being beautiful was filling her heart. The man dressed clean in front of him. "Don't you know what the virtual ghost infection means?" "But anyone with a little bit of strength knows what the virtual ghost infection is." "Could it be this man's strength that makes him seem indifferent? Maybe this is possible." "That." Liang was a little uncomfortable staring at the white girl's fiery gaze. He quickly changed the subject. "I don't know what your name is yet." "My name is Ryu." The white-haired girl pursed her mouth, her pretty face is full of complexity, and asked, "What about you? What's your name?" Liang, shepherd's shepherd, good teacher and helpful friend. Liang briefly introduced his own name. "Can I see that flower with wings?" Liu's tone was full of eagerness. "I can't see the flowers for now." Liang said helplessly, "You lied to me?" Liu's expression turned dark and she shouted hoarsely, "You promised me you will show me flowers." "Don't worry, I didn't tell you not to show it to you." Liang rolled his eyes and calmly said, "Tweed, it's not here anymore." "Where is that flower?" Liu asked eagerly. "I asked the domesticated beast to be sent home." Liang added a table leg to the fire and said, "If you really want to see it, just follow me to see it at home. The flowers have been sent home." Liu's expression was dazed. She remembered seeing the fierce beast spider carrying things when she was at the foot of the hill. It turned out that it carried away the flowers. However, this is a bit strange. Could it be that this man's home is near the thieves' base camp? "It's too bold, aren't you afraid that Bloodbeard will come to you?" Ryu couldn't help but curiously asked, "Is your home nearby?" "Yes, my house is nearby." Liang nodded. "You are really bold." Liu's face was strange. She also figured out a lot of doubts. This man's home lived nearby, representing a sufficient understanding of the thieves' base camp. No wonder he could easily break into the treasure trove of Bloodbeard. "I am really courageous." Liang thought of the two steel homes that came to this world. "No, it should be said to be moving. It's really unlucky for Bloodbeard to meet you." Liu glanced around and saw that it was all messy. "Do you want to eat barbecue?" Liang took the skewers and grilled it. Liu's mouth trembled as she watched the barbecue. The white-haired girl asked with a weird expression, "Are you not going to leave yet? When my domesticated beast comes over and moves things again, you can leave." Liang telepathically sensed the position of the tricolor lizard and was already climbing the hill. "Tame the beast and move it again." Liu was stunned when she heard the words. She raised her finger at the Starscream who was trying to carry the white cocoon and asked in confusion, "Isn't it already carrying it?" "It's not Xiao Hong." Liang shook his head. His chin touched behind the white-haired girl of Nu and praised, "The main mover is Xiao Kai. The red ghost spider is only responsible for moving the packed things to the hills to find a place to hide them. However, the main force responsible for moving things home can only rely on tricolor lizards. Xiao Hong, Xiao Kai." Liu didn't have time to talk about her name. She turned around and saw the colorful lizard behind her. She was shocked and couldn't help being retreated for several steps. Liu lost her voice in astonishment. When did it appear? There was no sound at all. "Xiao Kai, come here." Liang beckoned the tricolor lizard to come over and began to tie a roll of cloth to it. 15 rolls of cloth, all superimposed on the tricolor lizard, made it more than doubled in size. Liu didn't know why and felt that this big lizard was worthless. A fierce lizard is doing the work of moving things. Bang, 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 tilde, tilde, tilde. In order to facilitate the three-color lizards to go out, the dome gap was once again enlarged. "When the Bloodbeard comes back, it shouldn't be P***** D off, right?" Liu watched Liang's rude demolition and muttered, I should be fainted with anger." "Let's go." Liang carried the waterproof bag and greeted the white-haired girl to leave. He fixed the small wooden barrel containing the crystal fish on the waterproof bag with spider silk and tied a bundle of swords between the back waist and the hip. "Come." Liu saw Liang's body full of dangling things. She suddenly felt that she shouldn't go home empty-handed either. The two walked out of the gap in the dome and both were ready to start climbing down the hill. "Wait for me." Liu turned around and ran back, quickly searching for important things. Not after a while, the white-haired girl carried a small bucket of water and a bag of dried meat came out. "Not bad, I have my style." Liang smiled and gave a thumbs up. I just think it's nothing if I don't take it." Liu's pretty face flushed and she kneaded the corners of her clothes. "That's how it should be." Liang nodded appreciatively. Liu felt a little embarrassed when she heard the praise. However, the white-haired girl saw what was on Liang's body. The things on the big lizard and the dozen white cocoons that the big spider is hanging down. Ryu didn't feel ashamed immediately. Compared to a certain man, her stuff is nothing at all. Under the eyes of the thieves, the two beasts descended from the hill, hiding their figures and leaving the Half-Moon Valley. Then follow the red ghost spider to the hiding place. "You really moved a lot of things." Liu stared at the 20 white cocoons in front of her eyes. Time is still too short. Liang still shook his head regretfully. Thousands of people in the room ate jerky for a month before they moved about 2,000 caddies of jerky and left. Liu rolled her cute eyes and she didn't know how to complain. "How about helping me move something?" Liang turned his head to look at the white-haired girl and said softly, "Let you live in my house tonight, it's your hard work." "No hard work." Liu frowned her white eyebrows and said coldly, "I will help you move things and you will trade me the flowers." The white-haired girl dare not live in the home of someone who has only known her for less than a day, especially she herself is an infected person of virtual ghost infection. "No problem." Liang nodded, not forcing the girl. He superimposed 2 layers of white cocoons on the back of the tricolor lizard again, like a small mountain bag that moved. The current level 4 tricolor lizard can easily carry something as heavy as itself, which is more than a ton. The current weight is almost 1,000 caddies. The red ghost spider carried more than 500 caddies and piled 2 layers of white cocoons on its back. "Just help me move one." Liang tied the white cocoon of the tomato to the back of the white-haired girl. Liu weighed the importance and said coldly, "This is not heavy, you can give me another one." The white-haired girl is about 1.6 meters tall and can carry 5 to 600 caddies. No, things just finished sorting out. Liang said that he added 2 white cocoons to his back again, and 2 white cocoons were also clamped between his arms. Go home. 1 person and 2 beasts moved forward carrying something comparable to their own size in the blank gaze of the white-haired girl. Really a weird person. Liu muttered, trotting to catch up with the team. In the dark night, 2 beasts opened the way. The 2 walked quietly in tandem. Liang didn't want to speak but focused on his surroundings to prevent lurking and sneak attacks by beasts. Liu couldn't find the topic. She tried to talk to each other several times, but she didn't know what to say. Ooh. Occasionally an unknown beast roar came from a distance, but it was a bit of a taste. I don't know how long it has been. Finally arrived at home. A word from Liang brought the girl back to life. Here, where is your home? Liu's silver-white eyes carefully observed and found that there were rocks all around, not even a cave. Wait a moment. Liang gave the rock tortoise an idea. In the white-haired girl's stunned gaze, the ground in front of her raised a rocky staircase. Let's go, my house is up. Liang took the lead and went up the stairs. Liu blinked her silver-white eyes and said in disbelief, "That's amazing, how did he do it?" The tricolor lizard neighed and urged the white-haired girl to go up. "Sorry, I'm going up now." Liu reacted and apologized to the lizard very politely before trotting up the stairs. The white-haired girl came to the top and saw Liang was waiting for her. "That is my house." Liang introduced the house behind him. He didn't wait for the white-haired girl to speak and shouted, "Mino, I'm back." Liu was stunned. Boom, the door was suddenly opened and the fire in the house shone on the ground. A Taoist shadow stepped on the light and dashed towards Liang. "Liang, are you okay?" Mino rushed to the front, leaning forward and caring, "Are there any injuries?" "It's okay, it's all right." Liang said gently, "It's okay." Minuo breathed a sigh of relief and quickly took the white cocoon between Liang's arm. The girl with rabbit ears tweeted said, "Little Kai sent things back before. If it weren't for the door opening signal, I was really shocked to see it. Xiao Kai has grown bigger so she can move things very well." Liang smiled heartily. "That, I am." Liu watched the 2 walking towards the house on their own and couldn't help but uttered in embarrassment. I almost forgot." Liang heard the voice coming from behind, turned his head and smiled. "Liu, you can come in quickly." "Okay, I will bother you." Liu breathed a sigh of relief when she heard that she was invited and finally didn't have to follow up embarrassingly. After entering the house, the white-haired girl was stunned. A neat and clean house, water is burning on the fire, and there are rooms on both sides of the hall, one with a door, the other without a door. The decoration gives a sense of warmth. Especially Liang and Minuo were neatly dressed. The white-haired girl looked down at the dirty cloak on her body and almost retreated with inferiority. "Please sit down." Liang greeted the white-haired girl to take a seat. "Yeah." Liu nodded slightly and couldn't help but glanced at the 12 wooden barrels on the table. "Minuo, help untie Liu's things." Liang nudged the bunny-eared girl awkwardly. Hey girl, how about your hospitality?" "Okay." Mino replied weakly, and his blue eyes glanced at the white-haired girl timidly. She took a knife with an unnatural expression and moved her little feet slowly. Liang looked at the expression of the girl with rabbit ears and her blunt movements in surprise. He didn't expect Minor to be afraid of strangers. "I'll do it myself." Li Yuyin glanced at the rabbit ears on the girl's head, her silver-white eyes flashed with envy. The white-haired girl especially lowered her head with low self-esteem after seeing the scared expression of the rabbit-eared girl, trying to conceal the scarlet lines on her face. Sure enough, there is only one weird Liang who doesn't hate the virtual ghost infection. "Minuo, you go and help Xiao Kai Xiao Hung tear them down." Liang reluctantly made a relief. "Okay," Mino sighed lightly. The rabbit-eared girl's expression and movements were no longer hardened, holding a knife and walking towards the 2 beasts who were at the door. Liang drew his saber and came to the white-haired girl, cutting the spider silk on the back. He explained in a gentle voice, "Don't mind, Mino is a little scared of strangers." "I'm fine." Liu lowered her head and shook her head dumbly. Liang looked at the depressed white-haired girl. The unintentional performance of the girl with rabbit ears seemed to stimulate the sensitive heart of the white-haired girl. Really, 1 and 2 are problem girls. Liang could only divert the attention of the white-haired girl and calmly said, "Didn't you always want to see the flower with wings?" Liu raised her head quickly and said anxiously, "Where is the flower?" "The flowers are in these barrels." Liang pointed to the 12 wooden barrels on the tabletop, but it is not clear which wooden barrel the flowers are in. "Can I open it?" Liu opened her small mouth and hurriedly explained, I will look for the flower with wings and will not move other things. Yes, you can open it. Liang waved his hand casually. With his current strength, is he still afraid of a little girl playing tricks? Besides, based on Liang's life experience, the white-haired girl is just a girl who deliberately pretends to be a mature adult. Thank you. Liu thanked her politely. You look for it slowly and I won't help you. Liang patted the white-haired girl on the shoulder and said softly, I have to help move things in. Otherwise, the girl with rabbit ears alone will have to move very late to transport them all into the house. Mino saw Liang coming forward with a blank expression, apparently stunned by the things on the back of the two beasts in front of him. She asked weakly, Liang, have you moved all the Bloodbeards home? Not all moved over. Liang thought of the pile of dried meat in the Bloodbeard room and denied, I only moved less than 1/10 of the stuff. So, if you only move 1/10, it doesn't seem to be a lot. Mino tapped his chin with his finger and said with joy, even if it's not a lot, it will be enough for us to use it for a long time. Liu removed the barrel and also paid attention to the conversation between the two at the door. The white-haired girl twitched her mouth and she murmured in her heart, it's really worthy of being a family. I have moved away all the important things about the Bloodbeard, but I don't think there are too many. Liang and Minuo cut the fixed spider silk on the two beasts, and the white cocoons wrapped in dried meat were transported to the corner of the hall and piled up. A roll of cloth was stacked in another corner of the hall. The other miscellaneous things are placed in another corner of the hall. The last corner is the location of the fire pit. At this point, the hall can only move around the periphery of the table. The house is still too small. Liang frowned and looked at the almost full hall, planning to get a warehouse out. It's not too small, it's just right now. Minuo looked contentedly like a little money fan. The hall is full of things, and anyone who gets up every day will be happy to see it. Kang dang tilde, the sound of something falling to the ground interrupted the conversation between the two. What's wrong? Liang heard the sound and saw that the white-haired girl looked at a wooden barrel desperately, her hands stiff in the air, and a wooden barrel lid fell on the ground. Dead angel wings. Liu trembled and turned her head, her silver-white eyes tarnished, and she stared at Liang blankly with hopelessness in her eyes. Angel wings is the name of the flower. Liang frowned and stepped forward, looking down at the dying flowers in the barrel. He observed carefully and found that there was a pair of petals that resembled wings. No wonder they were called angel wings. It's just that the flowers are now withered and drooping. Liang looked at the sad white-haired girl and asked in a gentle voice, Liu, what do you want this flower for? Liu lowered her head and said hoarsely, Angel wings can transform a drop of dew Caladangel's tears every 10 days. It is a very precious panacea that can cure many, many diseases. Do you believe there is a panacea? Liang frowned. The name of the panacea is questionable without saying whether it exists or not. It's true, I've heard many people say it. Liu raised her head excitedly. Her silver-white eyes were covered with water mist, and Chu was pitiful and wanted to cry, but she was holding her back. So do you want to heal the scarlet lines on your face? Liang pursed his lips and asked. Not to mention that it can be completely cured, but I hope it can curb the spread of virtual ghost infection. Liu, trembling hands, grabbed the scarlet lines on her face fiercely. She herself doesn't quite believe in the existence of panacea, but she always has to try it right. What if it is true? Liu's 5 fingers clasped her cheeks hard and she couldn't cry. There is no time. I will become a monster-like ghost in half a year. After many verifications, the white-haired girl learned that Bloodbeard got an angel's wing seed a year ago. She estimated that the Bloodbeard was either planted or kept the seeds. As long as you can get flowers or seeds, you can continue the lives of yourself and your companions. However, reality is often cruel, giving people hope and despair. Don't vent your anger, isn't there still half a year? Liang held the white-haired girl's wrist and said solemnly, furthermore, this flower is not incapable of saving life. It's impossible to save. Liu shook her head weakly. The angel's wings in the barrel have lived to the end. Who said that? Liang chuckled lightly. He reached out and touched the withered angel wings and a familiar voice came in his mind. Ding, a domesticable plant has been detected. Do you want to domesticate it? Tame, Liang said calmly in his heart. Ding, level 1 life angel wings detected taming. Ding, the taming is successful when you consume 10 taming points. Liang raised his eyebrows in surprise. He didn't expect that angel wings would start with a level 1 life. Ding, whether to inherit the angel wings talent angel tears. Inherit. Liang received the new ability with a weird face. Ding, angel's tears is being improved. Adapted. Inheritance completed. Liu lowered her head and did not see Liang's movements. The white-haired girl said sadly, I have never heard that angel wings can be saved after they wither. You haven't heard of it, but that doesn't mean you haven't. Liang held the wooden barrel and thrust it into the girl's arms. Huh. Liu passively hugged the barrel. Next second, the white-haired girl's silver eyes were round, and she looked at the brightly spreading white flowers in the wooden barrel in disbelief. It's really angel wings, how is this possible? Liu held the wooden barrel tightly, blinking her eyes vigorously for fear of hallucinations. Nothing is impossible. Liang said lightly, it was you saved angel wings. Liu suddenly raised her head when she heard the sound. The girl's silver-white eyes twinkled with brilliance, and she stared at Liang fiercely with a godly look. Don't you tell me what is the virtual ghost infection? Liang has always had doubts in his heart. That is, what exactly is the virtual ghost infection? With the description of the white-haired girl, Liang slowly understood what virtual ghost infection was, and also understood why Liu's scarlet lines on her sensitive face were so sensitive. It turns out that the virtual ghost infection is an infectious disease, a disease that can only live for 10 years, or even shorter. When the time is up, the infected person represents death or a monster that lives in another form, the virtual ghost. Virtual ghost, a kind of twisted monster. They are crazy, tyrannical, dry, inhuman, are monsters just to bite living creatures. Infected people are not contagious only if they are bitten or scratched by a virtual ghost. However, the infected are still rejected, disgusted, and expelled. Liu is chasing the wings of angels that can cure the disease of virtual ghosts infection in such a harsh environment. How do you feel? A bit like a zombie? After Liang listened to it, he remembered the zombie movie on the Earth. Void ghost bites and injuries have an incubation period of 10 years, while zombie bites have only a few minutes incubation period. What is a zombie? Liu blinked blankly. It's a monster more terrifying than a virtual ghost. Liang casually said. He looked at the scarlet lines on the white-haired girl's cheeks and tried to get closer to touch it. No, don't. Liu lowered her head with inferiority. You said that an infected person can't infect others. Liang provoked the white-haired girl's chin. But everyone is afraid. Liu bit her lower lip, her silver-white eyes erratic. At least, I'm not afraid. Liang raised his hand and stroked the scarlet lines on the white-haired girl's cheeks. As he touched it, he commented, well, it's still a bit hot and the texture is a bit hard, just like a soft glue hose. That's a weird statement. Liu's face flushed, her silver-white eyes were full of shame. The strange hand on the face made the white girl feel warm. It seemed to wipe away a layer of uneasy dust in her heart, making her feel at ease like never before. The inner memory of the white-haired girl was filled with disgusting eyes, deceitful words, and contemptuous looks of some people in the past. At this time, he was mostly swept away by a figure named Liang. Liang, you should let go, Mino shouted with a pursed mouth. The girl with rabbit ears began to hide behind Liang, listening to the white-haired girl in silence. Then, when she saw Liang touching the face of the white-haired girl, she felt uncomfortable for a while, not knowing why. Ahem, Liang gave a light cough. He let go of his hand a little bit reluctantly. After all, the girl's cheeks were a bit soft, like pinching a toy. No wonder I said I felt a little weird. Liang murmured. He had figured it out. The white-haired girl had misunderstood. Believe that Liang is someone who knows the virtual ghost infection. Otherwise, with the broken heart of the white girl, how could she easily get along with Liang and even let him pinch his face now? No wonder what. Mino Bunny's ears trembled slightly and he leaned over and asked, Liang, did you find something? The rabbit-eared girl is a bit pitiful for the treatment of the white-haired girl, and she is not so timid. A girl with a pattern suddenly knows that her own will be dead, and she will be suppressed and discriminated against by the people around her. Mino knew how painful it was after thinking about it. Is there any problem? Liu slowly eased from her shyness, and she also wanted to know what she found. Liu, you said before that you only have half a year. Liang felt that there were some misunderstandings and there was no need to explain them clearly. He changed the subject and asked, is it the 10-year period? No, I have been infected for less than 5 years. Liu pursed her lips and said softly, I use the abilities acquired in Thevod Ghost Infection to accelerate the infection. Can people gain abilities from the virtual ghost's infection? Liang asked in astonishment. Well, some special abilities will be acquired, just like the abilities of the mutant. Liu glanced at Mino's rabbit ears enviously and said in a complex tone, the price of using special abilities is to accelerate the virtual ghost infection to corrode the human body. The abilities of the infected are actually similar to those of the mutants. Liang raised his eyebrows in surprise and turned his head to look at the dazed, rabbit-eared girl. How does he feel that there should be a certain connection between the two? It's like giving people a kind of metamorphosis that is the product of successful evolution, and the virtual ghost is a defective product of evolutionary failure. This is the sense of sight. My ability is Hawkeye vision. Ryu showed her own ability. The pupils of the white-haired girl turned into a pair of eagle eyes with sharp, sky-like gazes. The scarlet lines on Liu's cheeks at this time, as if they were alive, slowly spread to the skin next to her. Okay, stop. Liang quickly raised his hand and pressed it. With the treatment offangel tears, it's okay to use the ability. Liu's words were extremely relaxed and active. Liang stared at the white-haired girl and asked earnestly, "Are you sure that the dew-condensed fromangel wings can cure Thevide ghost infection? I don't know too well, I always listen to my companions." Liu was watched by Liang's black eyes and her tone became less confident. "Then try it." Liang didn't forget that he also possesses the ability offangel tears. "I can't try it now. It will take 10 days for the angel wings to gather a drop of angel tears." While Liu was talking, she looked down at the white-winged flowers in the wooden barrel in her arms. "Remember what I told you before?" Liang asked confidently. "What are you talking about?" Liu's silver-white eyes were all at a loss. "Nothing is impossible." Liang's mouth raised. "Start the tears of angels." Liang thought of activating abilities, and a general introduction of abilities came from his mind. The ability of angel tears. Consume physical strength and mental energy, and condense a drop of dew that can relieve the negative state and restore a certain vitality. The cooling time is the same as angel wings, up to 10 days. Evolving angel wings can reduce the cooling time and increase the effect of angel tears. This is the first nanny ability I have. Liang turned his palm up, and a drop of emerald green dew slowly condensed in his palm. "Huh, it's so fragrant." Mino licked the corner of Ai's mouth. "Liang, you wouldn't say that the emerald green water drops on the palms of your hands are tears of angels, right?" Liu asked in disbelief. It's just the same as you think." Liang raised his hand to the white-haired girl's lips and urged, "Open your mouth and drink, try the effect angel tears." Oh, Liu's pretty face flushed, opening her small mouth and letting angel tears enter. The entrance is sweet, and it enters the stomach like a long drought and rain. The whole body of the white-haired girl was warm, and the scarlet lines from the heart to the surface were no longer hot. Liu felt comfortable and let out a shy low groan. She immediately covered her small mouth with her hand. Liang leaned forward to observe the scarlet lines on the white-haired girl's cheeks. The crimson color became slightly lighter, and it was no longer shiny. Sure enough, the tears of angels can't get rid of the infection of the virtual ghost. How is the effect? Liang already has the answer in his mind and wants to know the specific effect. My body has never been so relaxed and comfortable. Liu was so excited that she forgot her shame. She smiled and stroked her upper right cheek. The hateful virtual ghost infection feature was still there, and her happy expression solidified. "Can't angel tears be healed?" Liu said bitterly. "Maybe the drink is not enough." Liang comforted softly. "It's okay, even if there is no cure, the erosion of the virtual ghost infection is stopped." Liu shook her head slightly, revealing a pure and clean reply. "I won't become a ghost for the time being, I'm already very satisfied." "There must be a way." Liang looked at the white-haired girl's smile and resisted using evolution points to evolve the angel wings. He intends to observe the specific situation of Ryu before he can make some decisions. Can I stay with you for a while?" Liu rubbed the corners of her clothes a little bit twisted. Afraid of being misunderstood, the white-haired girl quickly explained, "I want to wait for the angel tears to condense, and I will exchange something with you." She was embarrassed to mention trading angel wings, so she could only retreat and trade angel tears. Angel's tears can't cure the void ghost infection disease and can curb the erosion of the void ghost infection, which is enough for Ryu to stay and trade. Some companions are also waiting for good news from her. Yes, Liang nodded. "Thank you." Liu thanked her gratefully. She placed the wooden barrel in her arms on the table carefully and pulled out a white longbow from the cloak. This longbow is a spiritual weapon that can increase the stability of the arrow's flight and the ability to break through the air. Liu stroked the longbow reluctantly and reluctantly handed it to Liang. She went on to introduce, "The average archer with this longbow will increase the range and hit rate by 30%. What are you?" Liang took the longbow curiously, buzzing tilde. He found that the weight was very light, and when he flicked the bowstring, the sound was dull and powerful. "I use this spiritual weapon, the light longbow, to trade 3 drops offangel tears with you, including the one I drank before." Liu pulled the hair that fell down her cheeks and said embarrassedly, "In the future, I may often come to you to trade angel tears." According to her own estimation, a drop of angel tears can contain the virtual ghost infection for about 60 days. Tell me about the spirit weapon. Liang suddenly realized that he didn't know what a spirit weapon was. He turned his head and glanced at the rabbit-eared girl who was sitting next to him. What's the matter? Mino blinked his blue eyes blankly. No, nothing. Liang shook his head. He was sure, and the girl with rabbit ears didn't know what the spirit weapon was. After watching the interaction between the two quietly, Liu asked in surprise, "Don't you know the spirit weapon?" "I really don't know." Liang nodded honestly. Mino nodded obediently, still a little afraid of strangers. Spirit weapons are weapons made with beast materials or spirit beast materials, which carry some of the abilities of the beast and spirit beast during their lifetime. Liu pointed to the longbow in Liang's hand and said, For example, the main material of this spiritual weapon longbow is the wing bones of a kind of bird and beast. That's it? Liang asked in a daze. Mine is a low-level spirit weapon and that's it. Liu rolled her lovely eyes and said in anticipation, there are also some powerful spirit weapons that will use the beast spar to activate some special abilities. Understood, Liang nodded. He was startled, thinking that the spirit weapon was as powerful as the one described in Xiangxia. Unexpectedly, it is only a weapon with special characteristics of the use of fierce beasts and spirit beast materials. Do you know how to make spiritual weapons? Liang asked curiously. I will make a simple spirit weapon. This light spirit longbow was made by me. Liu raised her chin and was a little proud. Okay, I'll give you back the spirit tool. Liang stuffed the spirit tool back to the white-haired girl. Huh. Liu looked at the longbow in her hand panicked. Don't worry, the angel tears will still give you 2 drops. Liang chuckled. Why? Liu furrowed her white eyebrows, and after years of arduous survival she understood that there was no food for free. I need you to make a spiritual weapon. Liang is not accustomed to using longbows, but special crossbows are used a lot. If he has the chance, he also wants to learn how to make a spiritual tool. Huh? Liu opened her mouth in surprise. She hesitated for a while and whispered, I make a lot of longbows and other artifacts can't be made for the time being. It's okay, I will tell you the style of the weapon at that time. Liang waved his hand casually. He has another plan, intending to leave the white-haired girl. As the rock tortoise evolves, it will grow bigger and bigger, and it can't perform detailed self-examination, just like an elephant can't detect ants. There will always be some people sneaking on the back of the rock tortoise, and someone needs to guard it at this time. The white-haired girl is the guardian of Liang's photo. A little bit of angel tears binds a loyal guardian or a guardian who can make spiritual weapons, and it is definitely not a loss. Of course, it still needs to be examined at present. Okay, Liu nodded helplessly. When the white-haired girl saw the light spirit longbow in her hand, she suddenly felt that this was also good. It would be safer at least to have a weapon in her hand. It's already late, go and rest. Liang looked sideways at the girl with rabbit ears who was trying hard to open her eyes. Huh, are you finished? Mino rubbed his eyes in a daze. You hurry in and go to sleep. Liang said gently, where is Ryu? Mino leaned close to Liang's ear, exhaled and asked, we only have 2 rooms. Where does she sleep? Liu sleeps in my room, I will sleep in the hall later. Liang said softly, no need, I can sleep in the lobby. Liu waved her hand in a panic. She thought of the idea that she didn't need to stay overnight, and now she feels even more embarrassed to sleep in the room. Listen to me, there is no reason for guests to sleep in the lobby. Liang's domineering arrangement. Oh, Liu lowered her head shyly. Mino opened her mouth timidly, wanting to say that Liu can sleep with herself. Okay, don't force yourself. Liang twitched the rabbit-eared girl's ears. I'm not a pet, you are pulling my ears again. Mino pouted weakly, expressing dissatisfaction. Yes, Liang responded perfunctorily. Huh, I'm going to sleep. Good dreams. Early morning. Hey. Liu opened her eyes and instantly found that the environment was weak, and suddenly sat up. When she was sitting, she realized that she no longer lived in a crack in the rock in the wild, nor was she living in a pile of rocks. It's been a long time since I slept so comfortably. Liu stretched her waist, her silver-white eyes looked at the room curiously. The layout of the room is very simple. There are a lot of swords hanging on the wall with spider silk, and there is nothing more than a bed. This is the room where the man lives, and it doesn't seem to have any special place. Liu sat on the edge of the bed, shaking her feet, and glanced at the wall where the sword was hung with spider silk. Yes, apart from this wall, there is really nothing special. Liu stayed for a while, then got up and got out of the room. She saw Liang drawing something on the desktop. Mino on the side was stirring the breakfast in the pot. Good morning. The white-haired girl greeted. Liang looked up and asked softly, how was your sleep last night? It's okay. Liu's cheeks were slightly red. That's fine, come over for breakfast. Liang beckoned. Mino put the steel pot on the table and handed out the cutlery. The wooden bowl is not enough, so I took the iron lunch box out as a bowl, and each person served a bowl of broth and a large piece of barbecue. Don't froze eat. Liang saw the two girls staring at him without doing anything. He could only take the lead in taking a sip of the broth. Seeing him eating, the two girls also started to eat. Awu tilde Liu took the wooden bowl of broth into her mouth and she was satisfied. Tilde tilde Mino slurped not to be outdone. Liang looked at the rabbit-eared girl who was inexplicably fighting, chewing the barbecue leisurely. Liang, don't you plan to move today? Liu put down the wooden bowl, licked the corner of Ai's mouth and said, You have moved so many things with the blood beard, they will definitely follow it. They can find us. Liang swallowed the barbecue and asked. You're so close to them, of course you can be found. Liu couldn't help rolling her beautiful eyes. Maybe. Liang's mouth raised slightly. He took a sip of the broth and asked, Liu, do you know how to get to the Moon Lake tribe? Having promised the girl with rabbit ears, how could Liang also go to the Yuetan tribe? Besides, he was also curious about how the tribe of tens of thousands of people survived. Are you going to move to Yuetan tribe? Liu couldn't help frowning her white eyebrows. Are there any problems going to the Moon Lake tribe? Liang saw the white-haired girl's expression, as if he didn't want him to go to the Moon Lake tribe. If it was before, you would have no problem going to the Moon Lake tribe. Liu's expression became serious and she said solemnly, but now you have the spirit beast crystal fish. It is very dangerous to go to the Yuetan tribe. People from the Yuetan tribe know that I have a crystal fish, Liang asked in amazement. I don't know now doesn't mean I don't know later. Liu's pretty face became distressed. She sorted out her clues and then said, Some big tribes must arrange spies in the band of thieves. They will soon learn that the blood-beard crystal fish has been stolen. You mean someone can detect a crystal fish on my body? Liang instantly understood what the white-haired girl wanted to express. Yes, Liu nodded repeatedly. It's the ability of the mutant. Liang glanced at Mino's trembling rabbit ears. The girl with rabbit ears heard that it was dangerous to go to the Yuetan tribe and couldn't eat anything at all. Yes. Liu couldn't help taking a bite of the barbecue. She made a vague voice. What you should consider now is to move quickly. There are also mutants in the Bloodbeard thieves who can track traces. After the white-haired girl swallowed the barbecue, she said with a serious expression, Once the Bloodbeard comes back from out, he will definitely lead someone to chase you down. It's not difficult to move, you tell me the route to Yuetan tribe. Liang raised his mouth. Liang, we are not going to the Yuetan tribe. Mino grabbed Liang's arm with his little hand. Instead, the rabbit-eared girl persuaded first. Let's move to a place farther away where Bloodbeard can't catch up with them. It's a bit difficult if you can't catch up unless you pretend to hurry. Liu added in a low voice. She looked at the things placed in the hall, and she was afraid that she would throw away 9/10 of the things in order to escape the chase of Bloodbeard. It's a pity that I was busy last night for nothing. Well, we didn't bring the crystal fish into the Moon Lake tribe. Liang patted the back of the rabbit-eared girl's hand and calmly said, You forgot, we have a little black tortoise. He went to the Moon Lake tribe not only for the bunny-eared girl, but also to find other ways to obtain the fierce beast spar. Last night, the rock tortoise has evolved to level 4, and its evolution point has dropped by 1,000. Liang has to worry about the evolution point again, but the Bloodbeard thieves will hunt us down. Mino's pretty face was full of worry. She is easily satisfied. If there is danger, the girl with rabbit ears would rather not go to the Yuetan tribe. There will always be a chance to go in the future. Don't worry, I will make them afraid to catch up. A cold light flashed in Liang's black eyes. Liu couldn't help but reminded, Don't underestimate Bloodbeard, I guess he is at least a tier 4 enhancer. Then what level of enhancer are you? Liang looked at the white-haired girl curiously. Before there was a lack of a strength reference, now a white-haired girl is the most suitable reference object. I'm a tier 4 archer. Liu raised her chin a little proudly when she talked about her strength. She also paused modestly and added coldly, In close combat it is equivalent to a tier 3 enhancer. Then you are pretty good. Liang's eyes trembled slightly, feeling that he could squeeze the white-haired girl to death with one hand. What makes me great? Liu's forehead bounced a few times and these words sounded inexplicably irritating. Liang chose not to answer and smiled and asked, Which way is the Yuetan tribe going? In that direction. Liu pointed in a direction with her bulging face. The direction will be left to you for the next journey. Liang decided that it would be better to hand over the task of guiding the way to the white-haired girl. Seeing that Liu couldn't persuade her, she asked helplessly, What are you going to bring to Yuetan tribe? Of course it was all taken away. Liang took it for granted. Liu looked dazed, looking at the greedy man in front of her. No. Take it all away, how could it be possible to escape the pursuit of Bloodbeard? Liu stood up suddenly, her silver-white eyes wide open, and she pressed her hands firmly on the table. She leaned forward and looked at Liang with a serious face and persuaded, I know you are reluctant to throw these things away, but life is more important. That. Mino saw that the white-haired girl misunderstood Liang and immediately pursed his lips and retorted boldly, You misunderstood. Misunderstanding? Liu was stunned. You'll know if you go out and take a look outside. Liang was distracted and gave an order to the rock tortoise while he was talking. The order for the rock tortoise to start, follow the direction given by the white-haired girl. Go out. Liu's pretty face was puzzled and walked towards the door. She found something was wrong when she left the gate. The house was moving. No, the earth is moving. This. How is it possible? Liu quickly ran to the edge of the moving land. She stared at her silver-white eyes and exclaimed in disbelief. How can such a large land be moved? This is incredible, right? Liang came to the white-haired girl and asked with a faint smile, Do you still think we need to lose something? You deliberately wanted to see my jokes. Liu rolled her eyes anger. She looked at the earth and hills that were slowly receding. No wonder you are reluctant to throw things away. It turns out that your home will move. Liu couldn't help sighing, it's incredible. Now some of the doubts of the white-haired girl were resolved. Liang had the confidence to stay near the band of thieves. He turned out to have a mobile home. If she has a house that can move, she will definitely empty the treasure trove of Bloodbeard. Little Black Tortoise stopped first. Liang shouted, Woo! The rock tortoise stopped, raised its head and turned to look back. It's another member of my family. Liang patted the dumbfounded white-haired girl on the shoulder and introduced Evil Fun. It's called Little Black Tortoise and it's our home. Little Black Tortoise. Liu opened her small mouth in shock and stammered, It's not small at all. Maybe. Liang spread his hands. The level 4 rock tortoise has grown to the size of 1,000 square meters, reaching the size of 2.5 basketball courts. However, compared to the holy beast named Black Tortoise, the current rock turtle should really be called Little Black Tortoise. It turns out that it's the truth about the moving of the house. Liu raised her head and looked at the rock tortoise's head. Mino also came out after eating halfway and was pleasantly surprised to see the turtle's back getting bigger again. Wow, Little Black Tortoise is getting bigger again. The girl with rabbit ears opened her arms and happily ran on the turtle's back. If this is the case, you have to be more cautious. Your goal is too big. The corner of Liu's eyes gently glanced at the rabbit-eared girl. She turned her head and said to Liang, Little Black Tortoise is not fast, and Bloodbeard can definitely catch up unless he hides in the depths of the wild. I will make them afraid to catch up. Liang used to be a special soldier and had already figured out how to deal with chasing soldiers. What do you do? Liu asked curiously. The white-haired girl has to pay attention, and if the Bloodbeard catches up, it is also related to the safety of the angel wings. She cannot abandon the angel wings, nor can she steal the angel wings without conscience. You will know soon, Liang said softly. Liang stomped his feet and a rock ladder appeared on the edge of the rock turtle shell, a 7-shaped ladder leading to the ground. The level 4 rock tortoise is about 12 or 3 meters tall and looks like a small hill from a distance. Xiaoheng, bring down the wooden spear I got last night. Liang greeted the red ghost spider to work with his mind. How can I make a stone ladder? Liu imitated Liang's appearance and stomped her feet cutely on the turtle's back. There was no movement and no more rock stairs appeared. Is it big or small? The white-haired girl stomped again, still nothing happened. Heh. Mino covered his mouth and snickered, his rabbit ears bent slightly cheerfully. Liu curled her lips and trot down the rock stairs. She came to the ground, looked up at the stone ladder and muttered in confusion. Last night, it seemed that the stone ladder wasn't so long, right? Liang murmured to himself, the most obvious thing that can track us is Xiaoheng's spider silk, so the spider silk is used as the bait. He came to the place where the rock tortoise stayed last night. Here is a small gorge formed between hills and hills, which is a place where traps are naturally set. Can the trap really stop Bloodbeard? Liu stood by, curiously watching the complex traps on the ground. It should, probably no problem. The corner of Liang's mouth rose up. Using the talent Earth Rock Manipulation, he upgraded from last night to start changing the terrain in a small area. For example, make a big cave on the hill in front of you, dig a hole in the ground to insert a wooden spear, and then spread a thin layer of soil with spider silk. Also, transform the rock piles on the hills on both sides of the canyon into a rolling stone trap. They come in, how many people can go out alive? Li Yue felt more and more frightened as she watched. It depends on their luck. Mu Liang sneered and wiped the sweat from his forehead. He used so many abilities at once. His physical strength and mental energy consumption were a bit large. Liu's silver-white eyes shone with shock. At this time, she realized with hindsight that Mu Liang was an awakened person without a single chance. In just one day, Liu discovered that Mu Liang could spin silk, manipulate rocks and soil, condense angel tears, and could communicate with beasts. There are 4 awakening abilities. The white-haired girl felt that no one could believe it. Could Mu Liang be a man loved by heaven? Such strange thoughts flashed through Liu's brain inexplicably. Let's go, if you can survive and follow up again, then the strength should be pretty good. Mu Liang clapped his hands and looked back at the ordinary small canyon. Bloodbeards are going to be unlucky. Liu had already thought of the horror of the Bloodbeards in advance. She named this canyon in her heart, Death Canyon. The rock tortoise set off again, coupled with the evolution's new talent earth rock manipulation, leaving no footprints on the ground. The white-haired girl stayed outside alone. It feels incredible no matter how you look at it. Liu supported the rock thorn with both hands, looking at the slowly receding hills and earth. She watched for a while, turned around and went back to the house, and heard the discussion when she entered the room. Mu Liang, what is this house used for? Mino squatted on the bench. His predecessor lay on the table, leaning close to Mu Liang and looking at the plan. It's not safe to store everything in the hall when it's used as a warehouse. Mu Liang looked up at the white-haired girl who was getting started. He wanted to spread the safety hazards to the rabbit-eared girls and then said, "The fire pit is in the hall. If there is a crack of firewood, the sparks will spatter and accidentally burn the surrounding things." Understood, I will move things away now. Mino was anxious in an instant. Don't worry, let me tell you how to build the warehouse. Mu Liang grabbed the girl's arm. In the blank eyes of the girl with rabbit ears, he pointed to the warehouse and said, "The threshold must be set higher so that some small bugs can't get in." "Okay," Manon answered thoughtfully. "The warehouse needs to have some compartments and the things must be separated in specific areas." Mu Liang pointed to the square on the plan. "Yeah," the rabbit-eared girl nodded obediently. "The construction of the warehouse is up to you." Mu Liang handed the plan to the girl with rabbit ears. "No problem." Minuo solemnly took over the plan. She blushed and asked in a low voice, "Mu Liang, after the warehouse is built, can this piece of cloth be given to me?" "Do you want a plan?" Mu Liang asked in surprise. "Well, can you also give me the previous picture?" Mino's blue eyes flashed expectantly. "Take it all if you want." Mu Liang smiled. He didn't want to explore what the rabbit-eared girl wanted to do with the plan. The little girl still had a little secret. "Yeah, when I build the warehouse, I'll find it for you." Mino took the warehouse plan and ran out in a hurry. Minuo is getting more and more lively and cheerful. Mu Liang looked softly at the back of the girl with rabbit ears. "Is there anything I can help?" Liu pursed her lips and said. She felt that she could not live for nothing and had to work in exchange for accommodation. Mu Liang thought for a while and arranged, "You go to help Minuo build a warehouse and build another room by the way." It just so happened that the 2 girls were alone, getting acquainted with each other. "Okay," Liu nodded and turned to look for the girl with rabbit ears. "Then, I should also open up a piece of land." Mu Liang thought that some vegetable plants were about to die, so he had to quickly get a plot of land to plant them. He conveyed the order to the rock turtle. "Little black tortoise, find a hill and make stone bricks and dirt. Wu tilde tilde." The rock tortoise roared and went to the nearby hill. The hill, more than 10 meters high, was turned into a pile of rubble by the rock tortoise in less than a few minutes. Neat stone bricks and a pile of mud were sent to the turtle's back. At this time, the 2 girls who were drawing the route of the planning map on the ground of the turtle were both stunned at the operation of the rock tortoise. Liu blinked her silver-white eyes and asked in a stringent voice, "Are you always moving so much?" "Ahem." Mino swallowed silently and coughed slightly. The girl with rabbit ears resisted her timidity. Her tone was pretending to be calm and said, "All right, it's okay. Mu Liang has such a character. She always likes to go crazy. He is a bit nonsense." Liu recalled how many times had she been frightened from last night to this morning. The white-haired girl agreed very much. "It seems that with him you must always be prepared to be shocked. It's not that bad. Mu Liang will also surprise people." Minuo weakly defended Mu Liang. Liu blushed on her pretty face thinking of the angel wings last night. She lowered her head shyly and nodded imperceptibly. At this time, Mu Liang didn't know that the 2 girls were complaining about him. He manipulated the stone bricks to move to the edge of the turtle's shell, preparing to extend the courtyard wall to the edge of the turtle's back. When the rock tortoise was evolving last night, in order not to disturb the sleeping girls, he left the area where the rock tortoise was protecting the house from moving. Pieces of stone bricks were moved by the ability of earth and rock manipulation, and a 1-meter-high courtyard wall was built on the edge of the turtle's shell again. Xiao Hong gets some spider silk outside the courtyard wall. Liang finds something for the red ghost spider to do and sets up some spider silks for alert. Squeak tilde tilde, the red ghost spider responded with a friction-like voice. The next step is the planning of the field. Liang scanned the location of the toilet and decided to set the field next to the toilet. This makes it easy to take fertilizer and saves running time. Liang used his abilities, a field was sorted out, and a ridge made of stone bricks was created to surround the field. It's almost time to transplant. Liang looked at the small fields and smiled satisfied. He went back to the house and took out all the 12 barrels, as well as the tomato plant wrapped in spider silk. Unexpectedly, I came to another world and inherited 5,000 years of farming talent, Liang said with complex emotions. He planted all the vegetable plants according to the arranged fields. A row of railings were built with wood beside the tomatoes to fix the vines of the tomatoes. The last tea tree is planted in the middle of the field, next to it is the angel wings. Vegetables are all gone, it should be difficult to grow, do you want to eat some? Liang squatted on the ridge watching some withered plants planted. He saw the angel wings blowing in the wind and suddenly thought of using the taming point to save the plants. If you want to domesticate, the domestication point is only 10 points. Liang frowned. He was the first to exclude plants such as cabbage and tomatoes. It is not that it cannot be domesticated, but the value of domestication is too low to domesticate a cabbage. It's gone if you cut it. It is more practical to domesticate tea trees, which can continuously produce tea. Liang thought that he would eat meat every day and his body would definitely not be able to eat it in the future. Drinking tea can provide the same vitamins and fiber as vegetables. Liang got up from the ridge and reached out to touch the tea tree. Ding, a domesticable plant has been detected. Do you want to domesticate it? Tame. Liang gave the order expertly. Ding. Level life green tea tree detected. Domesticating. Ding, the taming is successful when you consume 10 taming points. Ding, whether to inherit the Xuanwu tea tree talent glorious growth. Inherited. Liang received the new ability. Ding, growing glory is being improved. Adapted. Inheritance completed. Liang is still thinking about new abilities and the sense of reinforcement in his body is fleeting. He looked at the domesticated tea tree, which had changed drastically, growing from a height of about 20 centimeters to a height of half a meter. On the green tea leaves, there is a small green spot that looks like a star. The green tea tree became the Xuanwu tea tree after being domesticated, but the ability is a bit unclear. Activate brilliant growth. Liang activated his abilities at the tomatoes. The palm of his hand emits a little green light and the withered vines of tomatoes are rejuvenated. After a while, the light dissipated. Glorious growth can actually promote the growth of plants. Liang's black eyes lit up. The ability to catalyze the growth of plants is definitely a divine ability in the doomsday-like world of the wasteland. Good or good, but the effect of stimulating growth is too weak. Of course, Liang was not satisfied with the growth of plants a little bit. He decided to evolve Xuanwu tea tree to see what his abilities would be after evolution. Liang did as he thought of it and instructed. System, evolve the Xuanwu tea tree to level 3. Ding, level 1 starlight tea tree evolves to level 3 deducting 110 evolution points. Ding, level 3 starlight tea tree has evolved successfully. Ding, level 3 starlight tea tree talent evolution, starlight realm. Ding, deploy the trainer's Xuanwu spawning ability to synchronize the level 3 Xuanwu realm. Xuanwu realm. Liang blinked, once again at a loss for his new ability. It doesn't matter if you don't understand, just activate the ability and you will know. Launch Xuanwu realm. Liang's mind moved, his ability moved with his mind. Tilde. Liang's whole body exudes green radiance, and the clothes on his body are windless and automatic. The whole person looks so holy, like a holy child who has come to the world from heaven. Around 10 meters with people as the center, all the withered plants are rejuvenated. The withered leaves slowly turned green and some branches sprouted again. It turns out that this is Xuanwu realm, which gave birth to all the plants of Tame realm. At this moment, Liang really felt that he had evolved a godlike ability. He opens the system to view the properties. Trainer Liang, physical strength 45, speed 42, 6, strength 42, spirit 56, lifespan 24 years 930 years, taming point 0 refreshed every day can be accumulated, evolution point 858. Ability, Mimicry Scaly Hardening Level 400 Silk Control Level 4. Earth and Rock Control Level 4 Realm Level 3 Angel's Tears Level 1 Ordinary Human Body is 1 Domesticated Beasts 3 Color Lizard Talent Mimicry Scaly Hardening Level 4 Red Ghost Spider Talent Basic Control Level 4 Rock Tortoise Talent Earth and Rock Manipulation Level 4 Domestication Xinghui Tea Tree Talent Xinghui Realm Level 3 Angel Wings Talent Angel Tears Level 1 The foundation of Mu Liang has been strengthened by Level 4 Rock Tortoise, Level 3 Star Tree and Level 1 Angel Wings. The lifespan even reached an astonishing 930 years. You are my baby now. Mu Liang was in a very good mood at this time. Xinghui Tea Tree has evolved to a height of 2 meters. On each piece of green tea, there are 3 small green spots as if stars are dotted on the tea. Zio Kai come and work. Mu Liang summoned the tricolor lizard sleeping on her stomach. The tricolor lizard crawled over from the edge of the tortoise shell. You usually stay around the vegetable garden. Without my permission, no one can approach it. Mu Liang's mind and thoughts conveyed the own command and added the 2 girls to the list of permitted access. The 3-color lizard stuck out his tongue and happily crawled under the tea tree and lay on its stomach. Go and lie down on the ridge. Mu Liang drove him in disgust, dare to occupy the position under the tea tree. When the tea tree grows taller, he can sit and drink tea under the tea tree. 3-color lizard. It grievedly climbed to the ridge and lay on its stomach. The plants have come alive and the cabbage will give birth to several more times. I don't know if it will produce rapeseeds. Mu Liang regretfully licked the corner of his mouth, thinking about eating boiled cabbage soup. The cabbage is too small now, it's not worth it to pick it and eat it, and then it can produce the greatest value. He didn't know the other plants, so Mu Liang didn't dare to get them and eat them at will. He had to recognize that they were not poisonous before they dared to eat them. He put his target on the tomatoes and picked a few red tomatoes. It would be great if there were eggs. Mu Liang sighed and looked at the 3 tomatoes with the palm of his hand not too big. If you can't eat scrambled eggs with tomatoes, just cook a pot of tomato broth. Just sow some more seeds. Mu Liang thought of the seeds he had harvested and felt that the 10-meter promoting effect of Xinghui Tea Tree talent should not be wasted. He went back to the house to dig out the seeds and planted some in the 10-meter range of the Xinghui Tea Tree. Pour some more water and spread a layer of soil. Mu Liang looked at the vegetable garden contentedly. No, it should be called a plantation. For water, use water condensed by crystal fish. Mu Liang thought of the crystal fish he had brought back last night, turned back to the house, and took out the wooden barrel containing the crystal fish under the wooden table. Wow, the sound of water churning from the wooden barrel. It seems quite energetic. Mu Liang carefully lifted the wooden cover, revealing a little gap. Wow, immediately there was water gushing from the gap, and a touch of crystal was exploring the edge of the gap. When I dig a pond for you tomorrow, you can stay in it. Mu Liang closed the lid of the barrel with a chuckle. Today, the taming point is used up. After the crystal fish is tamed tomorrow, dig a pool to condense more water. Mu Liang carried the wooden barrel out of the house, opened a small gap, and lured the water condensed by the crystal fish to water the ground. Wow, you have the greatest credit, so drink more water. Mu Liang finally watered the tea plant a lot. He sealed the lid of the barrel again to prevent the crystal fish from always gushing out. Wow, it's a green tree. Mino rushed forward. The girl with bunny ears blinked her blue eyes, expecting to ask, Mu Liang, were trees like this before? Yeah, haven't you seen a tree? Mu Liang asked in surprise. I have seen it, all I see are dry trees. Mino nodded his head with a surprised voice in his innocence. I just didn't expect the tree to grow like this. This plant is a tea tree. Mu Liang pursed his mouth and introduced in a complex tone, the tea can be flushed with water and it tastes very good. He didn't expect that the girl with rabbit ears had never seen a green tree, so when did the world of wasteland end? Why do some people have seeds? The tea can be rushed to drink tonight. Mino smiled shyly and said in a small voice, just drink a little bit, I'm just a little curious about its taste. Of course you can drink as much as you want. Mu Liang nodded dozingly, a little bit is enough. Mino gestured his fingers in embarrassment. You go pick some young leaves and buds of tea, this part is the best for making tea. Mu Liang ordered softly. He saw that the girl with rabbit ears wanted to go up and touch the tea tree. Okay. Mino's blue eyes lit up and he approached the tea tree cautiously, not for a while. Wow, the girl with rabbit ears exclaimed, the tea leaves are so beautiful. This tea tree was also transplanted from Bloodbeard. Liu walked over with a dirty little painted face, her silver-white eyes staring at the tall tea tree in a daze. Almost so, Mu Liang gave a deep smile. This tea tree can at least exchange tens of thousands of caddies of dried meat, he is really rich. Liu reacted halfway through her speech. She turned her head to look sideways at Mu Liang, joking playfully. It seems that the really rich person is you. You can also enjoy this rich life. Mu Liang's words were slightly profound. Huh. Liu was stunned and didn't react. Have you seen tea trees before? Mu Liang looked for a topic again. I have seen it, only half the height of yours. Liu gritted her teeth, her silver-white eyes flashed with hatred. It seems that it has brought you a bad past. Mu Liang could hear the repressed emotions of the white-haired girl. It has passed, Liu said in a low voice. The white-haired girl changed the subject with a cold voice. You have to be optimistic about this tea tree. There must be a thief who will look at it. She has never seen such a big tea tree. For some people, it is definitely a rare treasure. Mu Liang nodded with a smile and asked softly, you said if you use tea to trade, can you trade some fierce beast spars with people? Yes, but fewer people change. Liu's emotions converged again. There was a hint of reminder in her words. People who can exchange tea don't lack fierce beast spar. Once you let them know that you have such a big tea tree, you might start to snatch it. It won't be easy to say who robs at that time. Mu Liang smiled lightly at the corner of his mouth. Ah, angel wings are also planted here. Liu saw the angel wings under the tea tree. The white-haired girl trot over happily, squatting down to look at the flowers. Mu Liang smiled at the girls and looked up at the sky. He stretched his waist and said with emotion, it's already evening. It's time to make dinner. Mu Liang held the wooden barrel leisurely, turned and walked towards the house. Mu Liang, wait for me. Mino clutched his pockets and trot to catch up. This kind of life is really good. Liu got up and watched the two enter the house. She looked up at the sky and then looked down at angel wings. Is it safer to cover up? Ryu muttered to herself. As soon as she finished speaking, she caught the big lizard suddenly appearing in the ridge. The white-haired girl was dumbfounded, then smiled inexplicably and stepped briskly back to the house. With such a beast guarding it, isn't it safer than covering it with something? Liu arrived at the door, and before entering the hall, she heard the voice of the girl with rabbit ears wanting to praise her. Mu Liang, what do you think of the warehouse? Mino blinked his expectant blue eyes. It's well done, even better than I thought. Mu Liang praised him generously. Heh. Mino smiled sweetly after being praised. The girl with rabbit ears then admired and said, Liu has also helped a lot. She is so amazing. Just put a row of stone bricks for these wish. Then you have to eat more tonight. Mu Liang chuckled out of the warehouse and saw the white-haired girl sitting at the table in the hall. He whispered, thanks for your hard work today. It's what I should do. Liu's expression was cold, but the corners of her mouth rose slightly imperceptibly. Being praised, the white-haired girl will also feel happy. Mino walked out of the warehouse and saw the white-haired girl at the table, suddenly feeling a little embarrassed. She hurriedly looked for something to do and the cover said, I will move things into the warehouse. I'll help too. Liu stood up when she heard the sound. Mino froze and said weakly, no, I'll just be alone. Two people will be faster. A smile flashed through Liu's eyes and she started holding a roll of cloth into the warehouse. Mu Liang leaned to the ear of the girl with bunny ears and whispered encouragement. Don't be afraid, she is very nice, you can be friends with her. Let me try. Mino said weakly, his rabbit ears hanging down weakly. When building warehouses and rooms in the afternoon, the two girls would communicate only when necessary, otherwise they would put the stone tiles quietly. You don't have to force yourself. Mu Liang said gently. Yeah. Mino nodded slightly, picked up a roll of cloth and entered the warehouse. Why didn't you realize that Minuo was afraid of life? Mu Liang muttered. He cut the tomatoes to prepare the soup and suddenly thought of a possibility. Could it be that at first the girl with rabbit ears thought he was dead? After that, I couldn't move and slept for another day or two, and then I was weak for 2 days. So Miner's fear of me is that how it passed unknowingly. Mu Liang shook his head with a wry smile. No salt, it's really tasteless. Mu Liang tried the tomato broth, found that the light broth mixed with the sweet and sour tomatoes is a very appetizing soup. Mu Liang put the soup on the table and put a large piece of roast meat on the wooden plate. He turned his head and shouted to the girls, you go to wash your hands, you are ready to have dinner. Wash your hands, Liu was stunned. It was the first time she had heard of such extravagance. The white-haired girl turned her hand and glanced, her palms were black. Indeed, it looks like it needs to be washed. You don't need to wash your hands. Mino wiped the sweat from his forehead, leaving 5 black finger marks on his face. No, there was no other way before. Mu Liang shook his head and preached earnestly, now that the situation has improved, we can no longer live as we did before. But it's a waste of water, Mino grumbled. It's all rainwater, any waves are not wasted. Mu Liang glanced at the girl with rabbit ears. With the crystal fish, he can no longer look down on the rain and he doesn't even bother to filter it. Okay, Mino saw Mu Liang's serious expression. I just go to wash my hands. The girl with bunny ears muttered. The weak one didn't dare to refute, and she went to wash her hands cleverly. You should also wash your hands quickly, otherwise there will be no dinner. Liang turned his head and squinted at the white-haired girl. Liu wanted to say something, but she couldn't say anything under Liang's gaze. Oh, the white-haired girl obediently followed the rabbit-eared girl to wash her hands. Really, did I have two daughters? Liang held his forehead and murmured, obviously I am older and they are not a few years old, so how come they feel that they are old? Sometimes people have more experience, and in front of some immature people they will automatically become mature and stable and unconsciously take the lead. Perhaps this is the talent that the leader has. It's done. Mino leaned forward, spreading his hands like a child to check. Very good, the washing is very clean. Liang nodded in satisfaction. He glanced at the white-haired girl, who also opened his palms and whispered softly, go and sit down, you can eat. After listening to Liu, she suddenly reacted, staring blankly at her open hand for some reason. She doesn't understand why she behaves so naively. You know, she is 16 years old. Today's soup is red. Minuo looked at the soup in the wooden bowl in surprise. Liu, what are you doing in a daze? Come over for dinner. Liang shouted with a smile at the corner of his mouth. Of course he knew why the white-haired girl was stunned. After all, people are social animals. The white-haired girl has been out of the gregarious life for too long. If she wants to integrate into a new gregarious life, she will subconsciously imitate people and make her a little uncomfortable. In a word, just get used to it. Oh, here it is. Liu patted her cheek, shaking off the extra thoughts. She sat at the table, curiously watching the red broth glowing in the wooden bowl. It's been a hard day, let's get started. Liang took the lead in drinking the soup. Wow, Mino just took a sip and exclaimed, what's the matter with this soup, it's so delicious. The bunny-eared girl still has blue eyes and she does not hide her love for the broth. The sweet and sour taste made her want to stop. Liang chuckled and said, I added tomatoes in it so you can learn how to make it in the future. What is a tomato? Mino blinked suspiciously. Tomatoes are a kind of red fruit and there are still some that are not fully ripe. I will teach you then. Liang glanced at the bunny ears on top of Mino's head. She really liked this soup. Mino nodded happily and waved his arms in praise. Tomato broth is the best broth I have ever drunk in my life. Then you can eat more. Liang gave the rabbit-eared girl another spoonful of soup. The tomato broth made by myself is a very pleasant thing for the girl to chase after the grate. Heh. Mino squinted and laughed, slurping the tomato broth. Is it so delicious? Liu whispered in a low voice. After all, the reaction of the girl with rabbit ears was a bit exaggerated, which made her a little bit unbelievable. There was a glimmer of expectation in the white-haired girl's eyes, and she took a sip of the tomato broth. Liu raised her white eyebrows and the tomato broth couldn't fit. She huffed and dries up a bowl of soup. After drinking, I'll give you another spoon. Liang gave the white-haired girl another spoon of tomato broth. The steel pot is not big, it can cook about 4 bowls of broth, about 2 spoons per bowl. No need. Liu blushed and gave way. Drink quickly or Mino will grab you. Liang teased. Liu subconsciously picked up the wooden bowl to protect the food. She was dull for a while before reacting, her pretty face flushed with shame. I'm not going to grab it. Mino pursed his mouth. The girl with bunny ears gently pulled Liang's arm with her small hand to express her own dissatisfaction. In fact, it is more not dissatisfaction but acting like a baby with Liang. Eat barbecue, it's almost cold. Liang smiled and divided meat between the two girls. Mino frowned and chewed the meat, muttering in a low voice, how did the taste change? Dried meat roasts are hard to bite and fragrant when chewed, but they have a strong fishy smell. The two girls suddenly felt that the barbecue was not as delicious as they used to eat. After dinner, Liang grabbed the fire and turned to watch the girl with rabbit ears tidy up the tableware. He asked curiously, Minuo, how is the skirt sewn? It has been sewn and I have added a pair of sleeves to the 2 robes. Mino said, shaking his rabbit ears happily. Last night, the girl with rabbit ears sewed a skirt according to the cloth cut by Liang. As for the short shorts, there is no time to sew. You will take a bath later. Liang added stones to the fire pond. He didn't wait for the rabbit-eared girl to speak and then said, you take a long robe for Liu to wear. Take a bath? Didn't you just wash it yesterday? Mino asked blankly. You ate yesterday, why are you still eating today? Liang asked lightly. Mino was choked up and he didn't know how to refute it weakly. Liu opened her mouth before she could refuse. Can't you smell the stench on yourself? Liang's black eyes looked at the white-haired girl faintly and he curled his lips in disgust. I can smell the smell, so let me take a bath honestly. I. Don't stink. Liu's face was flushed with shame and her ears were dyed red. I'm not smelly at all. She gritted her teeth in shame and repeated, suddenly having the urge to rush to bite Mu Liang. For the first time in her life, she was said to be stinky face to face, and she still disliked her. Mu Liang shook his hands in disgust. Hee hee. Mino covered her mouth and snickered. The familiar scene made her find it interesting. Wash it, I'll go now. Liu stomped her feet in shame, turned around and rushed into the bathroom in frustration. Wait a minute, I will help you heat the water. No, I will finish washing immediately. Cold water, it smells bad after taking a shower. You lie. Sure enough, you are lying. You said that I am also lying to me, are you? No, it's true that you smell bad. Kang Dang tilde, after a lot of noisy, didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Mu Liang put the red-hot stone in the big bathtub, heated the water just enough to get in the bath, and drove the two girls in to take a bath. After a busy day, my whole body is dirty, either sweat or dust. The idea has to be reversed slowly. Mu Liang shook his head. If you have the ability to live better, you can't do it if you don't have the ability, right? Fry the tea while you are free now. Mu Liang glanced at the direction of the bathroom, ignoring the yelling of the bunny-eared girl inside. He hung the clean steel pot on the fire and put in the young leaves and sprouts of tea picked by the girl with rabbit ears. Activate mimicry scaly hardening. Mu Liang uses his power to flip the stir-fried tea. Some of the steps are omitted. In a little bit of terminology, it is stir-fried green. We also need to twist the tea. Mu Liang recalled that when he was in the army, a teammate who liked to drink tea talked about the craft of tea frying. Since he has been strengthened, his past memories can be easily recalled, and he can read what he has seen before at any time. Okay, that's it. Mu Liang shook the steel pot and looked at the tea leaves that had changed drastically. He poured the tea into the wooden dinner board and waited to let it cool before making tea. At this time, the door to the bathroom opened, and the two girls who had changed dramatically stepped out. Mino wore a long white one-piece dress, which was a bit strange except for the style, which gave people a youthful and beautiful feeling. Liu is a beautiful girl with a cool feeling, with white skin and long white hair as cold and firm as a flower in the snow. The white-haired girl wears a long gown, giving people a classic, cold and small big sis feeling. It's pretty. Mu Liang praised with a thumbs up. I'm back to my room. Liu lowered her head shyly. The white-haired girl held her old clothes in her small hands and moved her steps to go back to the room built during the day. And many more. Mu Liang called the white-haired girl and said gently, you don't have a bed in that room. I will still sleep in my room tonight. No, I can sleep. Liu shook her head stubbornly. I used to sleep casually in the wild, not to mention that there are rooms to shelter from the wind and rain. Then have a cup of tea. Mu Liang didn't force the white-haired girl to wash a bowl of tea for the two girls with a wooden bowl. Wow tilde, he was surprised to find that the tea leaves were unfolding in the wooden bowl and the small green spots on the tea leaves glowed. Especially after being refracted in the water, it looks more like stars in the sky. It's so beautiful. Mino's blue eyes flashed obsessively. It's so beautiful. Liu also indulged in, no one will reject good things, let's taste how it tastes. Mu Liang urged the two girls. Okay, Mino recovered, gingerly took a sip of the tea and breathed next second. Wow. The girl with rabbit ears swallowed the tea and spit out a fragrant little face with a bitter face. It's so bitter. What? Mino then stared at his blue eyes and shouted in surprise. It's so sweet now and it feels so cool in his head. Tea is bittersweet first. Mu Liang looked at the bunny-eared girl with a vivid expression like a face change in Peking opera. Is that so? Hehe, Mino said embarrassedly and laughed. It's delicious. Liu took a sip, closing her eyes for a taste. The white-haired girl softly commented, the sweetness can last for a long time and it can be refreshing. It is the top tea I have heard of. Then how many fierce beast spars do you think can be exchanged for a cup of tea? Mu Liang asked curiously. There are so many tea leaves in Xinghui tea tree, which can be used as a specialty to trade fierce beast spar. I don't know how much I can trade. Liu shook her head, having only heard of tea before. However, the white-haired girl did not really involve tea such advanced things. If she hadn't been here in Mu Liang, she might not have been able to taste the taste of tea in her life. It seems I have to find someone who understands tea to try it. Mu Liang felt that he needed to be a source of excitement to find people who had a large number of beast spars and were willing to buy tea. Ryu saw his intentions and said softly, some big people will definitely like it. You don't want to trade too much at one time. I understand that I won't trade these for the time being. Mu Liang looked at the few tea leaves left on the wooden dinner board. Mino also saw a little bit of tea left, weak and embarrassed. Did we drink too much? No, these high-end goods, of course, are going to be sold at a high price. Mu Liang smiled and shook his head, or it's not better to keep it for yourself. High-end goods? Liu frowned her snow-white eyebrows, not knowing what she meant. Tea can not only be made from young leaves and buds. Mu Liang's mouth turned up. Ordinary leaves can also be made into tea, but the taste will be worse. Do you still want to pick tea? Mino's blue eyes flashed with eager light. Yes, the work of picking the tea leaves is left to you, Mu Liang said softly. I can go picking tea now. Mino jumped up excitedly and rushed towards the door. Don't you stop her, it's night now. Liu looked at the rabbit-eared girl who disappeared at the gate. She will be back soon. Mu Liang raised his eyebrows with a small smile. He picked up the wooden bowl of the girl with rabbit ears and took a sip of tea. Well, it really is the best tea, even better than the tea drunk on the earth. Mu Liang decided to add 10 times the price to sell, otherwise he would lose a lot. Liu opened her mouth slightly, not quite understanding what Mu Liang meant. Less than 10 seconds. Wow, tilde Mu Liang, come and take a look. Before the Manones arrived at the door, there was an excitement yelling. The girl with bunny ears rushed to the door, yelling crisply, the tea tree is glowing, it's super beautiful. I see. Mu Liang smiled lightly. How could you know that you are coming out and see? Mino pursed his lips and ran over and dragged Mu Liang's arm out. Well, I'll just go and see it. Mu Liang's black eyes flashed in favor. He got up and walked to the door and patted the white-haired girl on the shoulder. Liu blinked her silver-white eyes suspiciously, hesitated for a while, got up and followed out. When she stepped out, she saw Mu Liang and Mino standing in a daze not far away with light shining in front of them. What's the matter? Liu frowned her snow-white eyebrows and walked to the two of them to look forward. She was obsessed. At this time, the Xinghui tea tree was radiating green radiance and the tea leaves were dotted with dots which looked very dazzling. It's so beautiful, Liu praised unconsciously. Like the starry sky at night, Mu Liang said gently, I don't want to pick off the tea. Mino couldn't bear to spoil such a beautiful scenery. Well, if you want to pick the tea leaves, let's pick it tomorrow. Mu Liang grabbed the girl's rabbit ears. Oh, am I still idle now? Mino pouted, raising his hand to protect the rabbit ears. After a while, the light of Xinghui tea tree will disappear. It will only emit light twice a day. Mu Liang turned around and walked towards the house. He said in a bad mood, besides, it's black, can you see the leaves picking? Xinghui realm can only be used twice a day, once during the day and once at night. Heh, I just forgot. Mino scratched the rabbit ears embarrassedly. Hurry in, it's cold outside. Mu Liang still has to take a bath. Mu Liang, what picture do I want? Go get it yourself. Night. At the foot of a hill, a bonfire was burning vigorously. Two thieves, one tall and one short, were watching the night on the hill. The boss is so angry this time, he didn't want to chase him and was deceived by the people in that small camp. The short thief whispered. The tall thief glanced at the campfire under the hill and lowered his voice. Who said no? The two poor pathfinders were killed on the spot. Fortunately, the captain of the tracker went with him. After smelling it, we know that the smell was left a few days ago, otherwise we would have to chase it foolishly. I'm going back tomorrow, I hope I can share a little more water this time. Huh, look, there is light in the distance. The short thief pads his feet and points to the light radiating from the dark night in the distance. After a glance, the tall thief warned, don't look, don't be too curious about those lights, they will kill you. Why, maybe someone is there too. Let's grab a handful in the past. The short thief eagerly instigated. Do you want to die? The tall thief said in a huff. The fierce beasts at night are terrifying and they are also very smart. Some of the light is made by the fierce beasts to attract prey. Really? The short thief was startled. You wait, the light will disappear soon. The tall thief sneered. Huh, it's really gone. Am I right? Maybe the fierce beast that emits that light is as big as a hill. I see, don't tell me anymore. The night fell silent again. The next day it was still dark. The Bloodbeard thieves gathered and rushed to the base camp again. They were marching in a hurry along the way, and the atmosphere was very depressing. Bloodbeard had already lost his temper several times, hurting many people. Even the leader-level captains of the Night Jackal and the Tracker did not dare to offend the temper of the Bloodbeard. In the evening, when I went back outside the valley, I saw the Blood Knife leading a team of about 200 people waiting. What are you doing here? Who is guarding at home? Bloodbeard's face turned black, and his hand was already on the handle of the knife around his waist. If the answer makes him unsatisfied, he will let the sun lie down for a few days. Father, the nursery room is gone. The Blood Knife shrank his neck in fear and said bitterly, the incubation room was sneaked in by a thief and important things were stolen. What? Where's the crystal fish? The blood-bearded beard exploded, grabbing the collar of the Blood Knife and drooling on his son's face. Also, it's gone. Faced with his father's murderous gaze, the Blood Knife replied bitterly, only some water and dried meat are left. Snapped. Bloodbeard slapped his face with a gloomy face and slapped his son 3 or 4 meters away. The crystal fish is the foundation of the Thieves Group and the core resource for the formation of the Thieves Group. Without the crystal fish, the band of thieves would fall apart sooner or later, and everyone would not submit to his rule. If Blood Knife wasn't the only son of Bloodbeard, he had already used a knife on the spot. Get away from me. Bloodbeard drove the people around, leaving behind the 4 boss-level captains and the Blood Knife. He didn't even go into the valley, and De Ma Jindao sat on the stone beside the road. Bloodbeard violently said, "Give me a little bit of clarity about the situation." The night before, the thief climbed up from behind the hill and blocked the door after entering. The Blood Knife was covering his swollen face and his voice was vague. "Yesterday we opened the door and found that the thief had left. We searched the entire camp and found no one. How can you be so stupid? People who can climb up the hill will hide in the camp for you to catch." Bloodbeard stared at his blood-red pupils, and his temper was a little unbearable. Cunning Fox, one of the 4 bosses, persuaded, "Boss, the most important thing now is to track the thief." Yes, the thief must have not gone far, and he should be able to catch up now. The stalker persuaded him. In addition, today, the thief has been away for 2 days, but everyone dare not say that he can't catch up with the thief. Huh. What did the thief leave behind? Bloodbeard gasped and suppressed his temper. "Leave some white ropes." The Blood Knife took out a stack of white and somewhat transparent ropes from his pocket. "Tracker, leave it to you." Bloodbeard threw the rope to the tracker casually. "Yes." The tracker took the white rope and began to sniff it in front of his nose. After sniffing, he suddenly confronted a scent in his memory and said in astonishment, "Boss, this scent is the same as the scent left by the people who stayed in the small camp before." "You mean the people who lured us over in that small camp are the same people who stole my stuff?" The Bloodbeard raised eyebrows. "Yes, the remaining smell is left by the same person." The tracker was very sure. "Very well, it's actually calculated on me." Bloodbeard grinned gloomily with a yellow tooth and said hoarsely, "Catch me up, I want to see what kind of person it is. I dare to tease me like this." "Yes," the tracker respectfully said. He raised his head and sniffed in the air, then sniffed the white rope in his hand again. "There are still some ropes here." The Blood Knife immediately made people take all the collected white ropes. Sniff tilde tilde, after the follower smelled it, his expression changed. The Bloodbeard said coldly, "If you find anything, just say it." "Yes, there are 2 other smells in this rope. One is a very light smell." The tracker had a solemn expression. He said with a hint of astonishment, "The remaining smell is very strong and it doesn't feel like a human smell." "I don't care if it's human or not." Bloodbeard growled impatiently, "I only ask if you can catch up." "Yes, by smelling this kind of rope with a strong smell, you can catch the trace of the other party," the tracker said confidently. As a mutator, he has a keen sense of smell like a dog. As long as it is not more than 3 days old, he can catch the smell left by people. "Go get all the water and meat out, let everyone eat when they are full and set off." Bloodbeard went crazy. He decided to take a thieves group of more than 500 people to chase the thieves overnight. The crystal fish is gone, these thieves are almost unable to raise it. It's okay if the crystal fish can be regained, and it's better to manage it if you can't die part of it. Yes, the Blood Knife took people to move meat and water. The sky is bright. Liu slowly opened her eyes and woke up, and found a piece of animal skin quilt on her body which made her heart warm. She looked sideways at the wall full of swords, her pretty face softened a lot. Yes, the white-haired girl slept in Mu Liang's room again last night, and the reason has been forgotten. "If this continues, I'm afraid I can't bear to leave, right?" Liu murmured, raising her hand to touch the scarlet lines on her right cheek. If there is no virtual ghost infection, she might want to stay. After all, extravagant enough to bathe with water, extravagant enough to drink tea, the most important thing is that he doesn't hate her. "Oh, what am I thinking about? Yu Fei and others are still waiting for me to meet with angel tears." Liu covered her pretty face with her hands, her silver-white eyes radiating a hazy light, and she rolled left and right on the bed. Ahem. A cough came from the door of the room. As soon as Liu rolled halfway, she froze. "I'll come in to get something and you will continue." Mu Liang leaned against the door with a smile at the corner of his mouth, looking at the white-haired girl who was froze on the bed. Hut tilde tilde Ryu caught the animal skin quilt and covered her head with unprecedented speed. Mu Liang's black eyes flashed with a smile, and he picked up a waterproof backpack in the corner of the room. He walked to the door and reminded with a chuckle, "I'm leaving, you can continue to sleep." Mu Liang came to the hall with a waterproof backpack, poured out the contents, and looked at the animal skins inside. While the weather was still early and the 2 girls were still sleeping, he planned to study the oracle bone inscriptions on the animal skins. "I just didn't expect to see the other side of the white-haired girl by accident. It was really a little cute." This oracle bone script corresponds to the fire character. Liang copied the oracle bone inscriptions one by one and then wrote the corresponding simplified characters. He used the method of contrast to recognize oracle bone inscriptions. There are so many words that I don't know. Liang scratched his head. He was obsessed with recognizing words. Time passed slowly and the sky was already bright. Mino yawned and opened the door and saw that there was no cooking on the fire. The girl with rabbit ears quickly raised her hand and shouted, Liang, I'll cook breakfast. Liang recovered, then smiled and said, then I will trouble you. It's not troublesome at all. Mino eagerly carried the steel pot into the warehouse. 10 seconds later, the girl with bunny ears grimaced, holding an empty wooden barrel and exiting weakly said, Liang, we have no water. Don't worry, we have water. Liang smiled lightly. He picked up a wooden bucket from under the wooden table, opened a gap, and suddenly water poured out. Wow, when was there an extra bucket of water? Mino held the bucket in surprise and came forward to receive the water. She accidentally saw the gap in the wooden barrel, and she was trying to squeeze it out of the gap. Liang, there seems to be something in the barrel. Minuo's face stretched, and he quickly touched Liang's foot with his toe. She was a little scared and reminded in a low voice, it seems to want to get out of the barrel. Oh, there are crystal fish in the wooden barrel. Liang woke up. The rabbit-eared girl hadn't seen a crystal fish. He suddenly lifted the lid of the wooden barrel and squeezed the crystal fish quickly with eyesight. Liang reminded half of the system in his mind and ordered, tame the crystal fish and evolve directly to level 3. Ding! Level 1 life crystal fish detected taming. Ding! The taming is successful when you consume 10 taming points. Ding! Evolve from level 1 to level 3, deduct 110 evolution points. Ding! Level 3 crystal fish evolved successfully. Ding! Whether to inherit the crystal fish talent, condensation of water elements. Inheriting the condensation of the water element. The corner of Liang's mouth couldn't help but lift it up. He once again got an ability that made everyone jealous, and he no longer had to worry about running out of water. Ding! The water elemental condensation is being improved. Adapted, inheritance completed. Liang only felt a refreshing sensation from beginning to end, and then it was gone. He didn't care, opened the system and checked the properties. Trainer Liang, physical strength 48, speed 45.8, strength 46, spirit 70, lifespan 24 years 1200 years. Taming point 0, refreshed every day, can be accumulated, evolution point 748. Ability, mimicry scaly hardening level 4, basic control level 4, earth and rock control level 4, realm level 3, water elemental condensation level 3, angels tears level 1, domesticated beasts, 3 color lizard talent, mimicry scaly hardening. Level 4. Red ghost spider talent, basic control. Level 4, rock tortoise talent, earth and rock manipulation level 4, crystal fish talent, water elemental condensation level 3, domestication, Xinghui tea tree talent, Xinghui realm level 3, angel wings talent, angel tears level 1. Liang glanced at the lifespan of 1,000 years and closed the attribute interface satisfied. The crystal fish has grown bigger. Mino stared at Blue Eyes in surprise. Every time she saw Liang put a small animal, it became very huge in an instant. She would be surprised and shocked. Oh, Liang let go of the crystal fish. Mino poked Liang's cheek with his finger and reminded, it's about to be pinched to death by you. Liang heard the sound and saw that the crystal fish in his palm was struggling weakly. He quickly let go of his palm, letting the crystal fish, which had grown to half a meter long, breathe. Wow! The crystal fish activates its talents, and many water drops quickly gather and envelop itself. A large water ball with a diameter of more than 1 meter wrapped Liang's arm. It seems that I have to put you in the big bathtub for the time being. Liang looked helplessly at his wet sleeves. What a great crystal fish, it's long and beautiful, it's actually translucent. Mino leaned forward in amazement and carefully touched the surface of the water polo with his finger. It's a bit naughty right now. Liang shook his head unhappily and put the crystal fish into an empty big bathtub. Hehe, it's also nice to be naughty. Mino defended the crystal fish. She was caught by the shiny crystal fish or by the shiny fish body. Whether a woman is a mature or a little girl, she likes shiny things. Wow, the big bathtub was instantly filled with water. Guru. And crystal fish conveyed his grievances to Liang, feeling that the place was too small. You stay obediently and then dig a big pool before letting you in. Liang calmed down with his mind and thoughts so that the crystal fish would not get water everywhere. Crystal fish. Liu blushed, her head couldn't help being freed from the animal's skin quilt, listening to the exclamation from the hall. She was so curious that she murmured to herself, would you like to go out and take a look at the crystal fish? Regarding the appearance of the crystal fish, the white-haired girl has only seen the description of the reward issued by the Yuetan tribe and has never seen what the crystal fish really looks like. Let's go take a look. Liu couldn't help curiosity, got up to clean up, and came to the door lightly. The white-haired girl poked out half of her head and looked to the corner of the hall and found that the two were talking in front of the big bathtub. Liang's perception caught the white-haired girl and he turned his head and beckoned. Liu, come over and say hello to the new member of our family. Oh, here it is. Liu bit her lower lip and Kaolian blushed and moved past. In her mind at this time there was no option to refuse. Mino saw the white-haired girl approaching and made a gap to Liang's clinging to the side. After Ryu approached she whispered, thank you. No, no, Mino waved his hands nervously. Liu smiled slightly and looked down at the crystal fish that was more than half a meter long in the big bathtub. Her cold expression appeared astonished. Is the crystal fish so big? Why is it different from the description on the Yuetan tribe's reward? Say it's a palm-sized crystal fish. Liang saw the white-haired girl in astonishment on his side and said wickedly, is it different from the crystal fish you know? It's totally different, it's too big. Liu didn't see the nasty smile on someone's face, otherwise she would definitely be able to think of something. I have always wanted to ask, what does the Yuetan tribe use as a bounty for the crystal fish? Liang asked curiously. After all, crystal fish can condense water, which can be said to be a cornucopia. In the apocalyptic world of the wasteland, water can also be used as a transaction currency, and it is also a universal currency. The seat of an elder in the Yuetan tribe, the future hydropower produced by the crystal fish dominates 1/20th, a big house, 20 slaves, and 10,000 caddies of dried meat. Liu frowned her snow-white eyebrows as she recalled, coldly chanting the contents of the reward. Okay, don't read it anymore. Liang rubbed his eyebrows and the Yuetan tribe really paid a lot of money. Such a pricey reward made his heart fascinated even after hearing it, let alone other people. Mino was even more dumbfounded, his blue eyes staring at the crystal fish in the big bathtub with dull blue eyes. The words 10000 caddies of dried meat echoed in her mind. So, you should understand by now, the crystal fish will definitely attract the prying eyes of many people. Liu saw Liang's distressed expression, and the corners of her mouth curled up slightly. She quickly stopped smiling, and her pretty face warned with a serious face, especially the seat of Elder of the Moon Lake tribe, which represents a position above 10,000 people and can attract many ambitious and capable people. It seems that I have to do more preparations. Liang decided to overturn the contents of the previous plan. No, are you going to the Moon Lake tribe? Liu was stunned. How could it be different from what she thought? The white-haired girl politely persuaded, it would be dangerous if you brought the crystal fish in the past. There is no need to go to the Moon Lake tribe, you can also go to other tribes. Other tribes? Are there tribes larger than Yuetan tribe? Liang asked curiously. Yes, walking eastward at the current speed for about 20 days there is a golden lion tribe. Liu pointed to the side of the rock tortoise. 20 days, too far. Liang thought about it and shook his head. He is in urgent need of a large amount of fierce beast spar now and does not want to waste too much time on his way. As long as there are a lot of evolution points, the Moon Lake tribe is not a threat. It's just a little farther to avoid the most dangerous period. Liu's original intention was to make Liang avoid the turmoil caused by the Bloodbeard just losing the crystal fish. Many forces thought that the person who had stolen the crystal fish had already escaped. After a while they wanted to come to the Moon Lake tribe and then sneak over. Sometimes, danger is also opportunity. Liang patted the white-haired girl on the shoulder, turned and walked to the table. Hey tilde, Liu sighed weakly, knowing that she was wasting her tongue again. This strange man is too stubborn. Don't worry. Mino looked at the white-haired girl's weak expression and said timidly, we have to trust Liang, he is very powerful. That's because he doesn't know what to face. Liu was halfway through, watching the blue eyes of the girl with bunny ears gleaming with worry. She couldn't say anything. She pursed her lips and changed her mouth. Well, Liang is really good and there will be nothing wrong. Hee, I'm going to cook breakfast. Mino smiled assuredly and went to cook breakfast happily. Really? When have I been so naive? Liu looked down at the crystal fish in the big bathtub and saw herself blurry in the rippling water. In just 2 days, she found that she had become less like herself. The white-haired girl has always planned for the worst, which is why she is still alive today. And when Liang saw the white-haired girl's sullen back, she knew she was thinking too much. He couldn't help but murmured in his heart, it's really a worrying person. After all, only oneself knows the ability and it hasn't been exposed now, so it should be worrying. Liang didn't want to show off but also wanted to keep some whole cards. He shouted, Liu, come here, I have something to look for you. What's the matter? Liu regained consciousness and came to the table in doubt. Liang held a piece of animal skin and asked softly, do you know these words? Ryu leaned forward and scanned the text on the animal skin. She raised her chin slightly and said, knowing isn't it just a beast-shaped character? It's actually called hieroglyph. Liang said in surprise. He did not expect the oracle hieroglyphs, which are also called hieroglyphs in this world. It has always been called a pictogram, and anyone with a little bit of common sense knows it. Liu rolled her eyes and said she didn't understand how this man became stupid today. There are some words of Liang that cannot be explained. He changed the subject and asked about the content on the hide. What is written on it? I'll take a look. Liu took the animal skin and looked. Her beautiful snow-white eyebrows frowned, and she was a bit distressed to recognize it. She whispered in her mouth, Mrs. Oh, it's sunflower. Liang understood what the white-haired girl looked like in an instant. He squinted his black eyes and said quietly, Liu, are you illiterate? Liu's figure stiffened and the animal skin was crumpled. She had a calm expression and said coldly, who said that? How can I not read? Oh, really? Liang raised his eyebrows. He smiled and pointed to the 3 words on the animal skin and asked faintly, then do you know these 3 words? Dang, of course I know. The corner of Liu's mouth twitched slightly and her tone was not sure. The first word is white. I also have an impression of the last 2 words. Don't rush me, let me think about it. I didn't even speak. White bend grass, no. It should be white vine grass. It's not right. Tengzai is not like this. Liu said more and less emboldened. The white-haired girl's head lowered lower and lower and the weak used animal skins to cover her shameful and pretty face. Oh, tilde. Liang pretended to sigh, shook his head and said, it seems that you don't know a few words. I just haven't read hieroglyphs for too long. Liu Kaio blushed and she defended in a low voice, I just temporarily forgot some words. Give me some time. I can definitely remember it. Yes, Liang lazily propped his cheek with one hand, looking like I believe you very much. But, damn it, Liu's forehead bounced a few times and she was irritated by Liang's perfunctory appearance. Huh. The white-haired girl patted the animal skin to the table, folded her hands, and turned her head away with a cute pouting. It's time for breakfast. Mino brought the steel pot to the table. I'm going to get the tableware. Liu didn't care about her sulking, got up to get the tableware. Breakfast is no different from usual, it's a bowl of broth and a grilled meat. Liang ate breakfast absently while thinking about the hieroglyphs on the animal skins. He was also a little helpless. The 2 girls who came to this world to meet were both illiterate. The white-haired girl is okay, but she is also semi-literate. Not to mention the girl with rabbit ears, maybe she hasn't read hieroglyphs much. It seems that I have to find someone to teach me to read. Liang planned in his heart. If he wants to truly take root in this world and integrate into life, he must have a deep understanding of history and culture. Therefore, pictographs must be learned and books must be read. Although I forgot some hieroglyphs. Seeing Liang's embarrassed expression, Liu couldn't help but uttered, but I still know what is recorded on the animal skin. What is it? Liang looked up. The secret medicine formula for strengthening the human body. Liu said with a serious expression. The secret medicine formula for strengthening the human body, is it a medicine that can increase the body's fitness? Liang was surprised. Yes, show me the other copies. Ryu put down the half-bitten barbecue, stretched out her hand and said, as for the level of the strengthening secret medicine, I have to look at it to know. Here, Liang handed over a pile of animal skins. Well, these 3 materials are first order. Liu looked at the animal skin with a cold expression, looking for the number on the animal skin. The second order has 7 materials in total. Even the secret medicine formula for the third order human body strengthening is available. Liu looked at the 15 animal skins in front of her in astonishment. She looked serious and then searched for the new number of the hide. For a while, the white-haired girl lost her voice. There are also tier 4, a total of 24 material pictures. No. Liu put the 24 animal skins aside and looked at the pile of animal skins left on the tabletop. She raised her head and glanced at Liang and said astringent, the rest may be the secret medicine formula for strengthening the 5th order human body. It seems that the origin of Bloodbeard is not simple. Seeing the girl's expression, Liang knew how precious the secret medicine of the 5th order human body was strengthened. A thieves group of more than 500 people owns a crystal fish and also possesses the secret medicine for strengthening the human body from tier 1 to tier 5. Think about it, you know what it means. It's really a secret medicine formula for strengthening the 5th order human body. After reading Liu, she stacked 36 animal skins. She looked up at Liang, a little wondering what to say. Bloodbeard's encounter with Liang was really bloody mold for a lifetime. What are you doing looking at me like this? Liang spread out his hands with an innocent expression. He once again became rich, even the basics. Suddenly, Liang thought of the current Bloodbeard. If there were any trackers, then he should have seen the temptation left in the camp and was on his way back to the base camp. Tonight or tomorrow morning, he will enter the trap he set up. If you are lucky, you will survive. If you are unfortunate, you will die. Liu didn't know how to complain. She looked complicatedly at the 5 stacks of animal skins on the table and said solemnly, "This is a series of strengthening secret medicines, and the value is no longer much lower than that of the crystal fish. The most important thing is to maximize the potential of the human body." Liu thought for a while and added, "You know, the white-haired girl still uses the power gained from the erosion of the virtual ghost infection to become a Tier 4 archer at the cost of only half a year of life. That's just right. I will strengthen Mino after I get the secret medicine." Liang turned his head and glanced at the well-behaved girl with rabbit ears as a listener. As for whether he can use the secret medicine to strengthen it, he has to try it before he knows. Mino reacted after a half-beat slow. "Yes, it's you." Liang jokingly joked, "You will charge for me in the future and become my female general." Okay. Mino didn't know what the female general was and agreed. She insisted on her rabbit ears and promised with a serious face, "I will become a powerful female general." "Then you have to work hard and you will have to cook and eat at noon." Liang chuckled lightly. "Huh, do you want to cook and eat at noon?" Minuo asked in surprise. "If you want to become stronger, you have to eat more." Liang has already planned to train a girl with rabbit ears, so she must be able to protect herself. Moreover, the bunny-eared girls have very good talents, as the white-haired girls often use envious light to peek at Mino's bunny ears. Okay. Mino agreed when he heard that he could become stronger. She also wanted to help Liang but didn't want to be protected all the time. "It's great," Liu murmured in her heart. She especially envied the girl with rabbit ears. When she had the talent, she would be strengthened by the secret medicine in the future, and her strength would be several times stronger than that of ordinary mutants. Abnormalities rely on their talents to become stronger, such as hearing, smell, reaction, and so on. These partial subjects can borrow talents to develop skills that belong to their own. However, ordinary enhancers simply strengthen their own qualities, and Xiantian conditions can't be compared with those with great skill. Should you be able to use the strengthening secret medicine too? Liang turned his head to look at the white-haired girl. Liu was at a loss. "Well, I don't think your physical fitness is strong." Liang nodded affirmatively. "Yes, it's just." Liu hesitated for a moment. Her body relied on the erosion of the virtual ghost infection to reach the level of a Tier 3 enhancer. If the talent Eagle Eye is used, the white-haired girl can become a Tier 4 archer. "You are wondering why I am strengthening you, don't you?" Liang raised the corner of his mouth. He stretched out his hand and pressed it on the sordid animal skins and said softly, "You should know someone who can make secret medicine. Otherwise, the white-haired girl would not be able to classify materials so skillfully. I do know someone who can refine secret medicine." A certain blonde and big-breasted woman flashed in Liu's mind. "How is the relationship with you? I want to talk to her," Liang said gently. "When you arrive at the Moon Lake tribe, let me ask you a question." Liu thought for a while and said, "Your companion is in the Moon Lake tribe?" Liang asked in surprise. "I don't know if she is still there. I have to go to the Moon Lake tribe to find out." Liu thought that it had been more than 10 days since we were separated from Yu Fire last time, and she didn't know if she was still in Yuetan tribe. Maybe, Yu Fei may have gone out looking for Angel's Tears. After all, the place where they agreed to meet was not in the Moon Lake tribe, and there were still more than 40 days before the agreed meeting time. This is also one of the reasons why the white-haired girl is so leisurely now, staying at Liang and waiting for the Angel Tears to condense. "Then wait until the Yuetan tribe," Liang said helplessly. "It is so troublesome if there is no means of communication, and you have to make an appointment in advance for a time and place. Night is coming." Bloodbeard glanced coldly at the tracker who came up and asked coldly, "Have you traced the trace of the thief?" The tracker has no time to wipe the sweat from his forehead. He pointed to a direction and said, "It has been traced, and the thief is going in that direction. Since I found it, I will set off quickly." Bloodbeard stood up and glanced at the base camp valley behind him. Without the crystal fish, the rest of the valley can be completely discarded. The same important secret medicine formula for strengthening the human body was also stolen. Bloodbeard actually doesn't care very much. After all, the secret medicine formula is already in his mind. Moreover, the secret medicine is no longer useful to him. Slackers, please move me quickly. Bloodbeard drew out a long knife and shouted, "Who dares to drag him back?" Daddy smashed him. The thieves who had eaten enough and had just rested for less than 3 hours dared to get up without saying a word for fear of being hacked to death by the Bloodbeard. Whoever can catch up with the thief. Bloodbeard shouted loudly, "I will reward him with 100 buckets of water and 1,000 caddies of dried meat. He is not stupid to be the thief boss, knowing that after the big stick he will have sweetness." Oh roar. The thieves raised their hands and shouted like chicken blood, "100 buckets of water and 1,000 caddies of dried meat can eat for more than a year without saving. Go." Bloodbeard's long knife waved, "Go over there." The tracker commanded the direction with a wink. In the entire valley, except for a few thieves who stayed behind, more than 500 thieves all carried torches into the night. Hateful. Bloodbeard turned his head and glanced at base camp again. If the crystal fish cannot be taken back, this place is a disaster. There are 2 darkest periods in Bloodbeard's life. Once he was found stealing the strengthening secret medicine, and then he was hunted down by his tribe. Once it was the most trusted friend and subordinate, and the other party left with more than 400 thieves. Bloodbeard believed that the betrayer must be staring at his base camp. It is better to leave some bait here so that the betrayer has no time to take care of him. Go. Bloodbeard turned his head and strode forward. More than 500 thieves held torches high, all huddled together, using this method to deter the beasts in the dark. Driving at night is very dangerous, but it represents an opportunity to catch up with the thief. When the Bloodbeard was resting, he listened carefully to the report of the blood knife. The darkroom was stolen, the cloth and plants were emptied, and the incubation room was ruined. After hearing this, Bloodbeard dismissed the idea of going back so as not to look at it. Moreover, Bloodbeard's thoughtful discovery, the thief is carrying so many things, the speed will certainly not be very fast. Maybe they can catch up with the thief after 2 days of driving all night. At midnight, the tracker showed joy and hurried to the Bloodbeard. "What did you find?" Bloodbeard pulled his beard. "Boss, in the small canyon in front, the smell left by the thieves is very strong." The tracker excitedly said, "The thief may have stayed inside for a long time. The longer the stay, the stronger the smell, and a lot of information can be analyzed. For example, how long to stay, how long to leave, etc. Then go in quickly." Bloodbeard waved his hand faintly. More than 500 thieves lined up in a long dragon, supporting the Bloodbeard into the small canyon. All thieves entered the small canyon. The lead tracker found that the strongest smell was a cave. He pointed to a few henchmen. "You guys go in and have a look." Yes, several people entered with torches and just entered the middle of the cave. It's a soft ground. One of them stepped on a somewhat elastic ground. Boom tilde tilde, there was a crisp cracking sound of spider silk. Boom tilde tilde. The ground collapsed and several people were pierced by wooden spears buried in the trap. Ah tilde tilde, the miserable howl spread out through the cave and immediately caused panic. The tracker's face changed drastically and he quickly backed away. He shouted into the cave, "What happened? Save me, save me." "There are traps." There was a howl of pain from the cave. "Damn the thief, before he left he set us up." The tracker ignored the howling from inside. His face was very ugly. The thieves heard it was just a trap and everyone relaxed. "It turned out to be a trap. It really scared me. I thought I had encountered a beast." "Yeah, those hapless guys, it seems that water and jerky don't have their share." The thieves joked jokingly and used this way to cover up their panic just now. Boom tilde. At this time, under the ground that the thieves didn't know, on the rock wall of the small canyon, strips of white translucent spider silks relaxed from one end of the cave and were quickly pulled away by heavy objects. The trap in the cave is one of the switches that triggers the falling of rocks above the canyon. Boom boom tilde tilde, more spider silk was broken. "What sound?" Bloodbeard's ear moved and he held the long knife around his waist calmly. "Is there a sound?" The blood knife listened in confusion. "It's a little bit, it seems that something is breaking." Yi Zhao and Cunning Fox stopped in the middle of the conversation and suddenly glanced at each other. They all looked up at the 2 sides above the small canyon and saw the crumbling rocks. Their faces were instantly pale with fright. "Get here." Bloodbeard reacted first, grabbing the back collar of the blood knife and shouting loudly, "The stone on the canyon is about to fall." Boom 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 tilde tilde tilde. As soon as the voice fell, a burst of dense spider silk breaking sound sounded. Thieves, looking up awkwardly at this time, it was too late. Bang bang bang. Pieces of stones of different sizes rolled down from both sides of the canyon. Ah tilde tilde. "Help me help, run away, After a few minutes, the stones no longer fall down the canyon. "Ah, I broke my hand." Who is going to save me? My foot is pinched by a stone. The tragic cry for help and howls of pain echoed over the canyon. More than 500 thieves crowded together. Most of them were killed by a pile of rocks. The other half either had a broken head or a broken leg or hand. Boom. A pile of stones was suddenly lifted off. The 9-meter-tall man with a blood beard stood up suddenly. His breath was very fierce, and the whites of his red pupils were full of bloodshot eyes. He felt the smell of death just now. If it weren't for a critical juncture, he would hide in a stone crack, and he would be immortal and disabled at this time. Damn thief, dare to. Bloodbeard looked at the miserable situation in front of him and listened to the miserable howlings of his followers. He can't wait to find the thief right away and slash him to death. Boss, are you okay? The tracker turned pale, clutching his bent and broken arm, and looked for it. The Bloodbeard stared at the tracker with murderous aura. If he hadn't led the way into the canyon, they wouldn't be caught in the trap. The stalker can feel the murderous scalp. He pointed to one direction in an anxious manner and shouted, "Boss, the thieves are going in that direction." Huh. Bloodbeard reduced his murderous aura, temporarily letting go of the tracker who was still useful. He pulled out the blood knife in the cracks of the stone and shouted in a low voice, "Trash, hurry up and gather the active people." Yes. The blood knife shook, already shocked. Boss, the cunning fox and Yi Zhao came over with shame. As the two mutants, their survivability is much better than ordinary people, leaning on the rock wall to escape the catastrophe. Where is Dolly? Bloodbeard scanned around but did not see the other leader-level captain. He died. Cunning Fox said faintly, "I was hit in the head by a stone." Gather all the active people. Bloodbeard gritted his teeth. He will continue to track down with the remaining people. This hatred Bloodbeard is on his mind. The morning after 5 days. The rock tortoise walked around the hills blocking the road, stepped on the low stones, and was crawling forward step by step. In the yard behind the turtle, the girl with rabbit ears is doing physical training hard. 121 make 30 more, hold on. Liang stood beside him with a serious face, inspiring the rabbit-eared girl to do push-ups. Okay, Mino replied through gritted teeth. There were beads of sweat on her face, and the floor of her chin had been soaked with sweat the size of a palm. The arms of the girl with rabbit ears were already trembling, and she slowly bends down again, doing push-ups. This kind of training has been going on for 5 days, and the daily amount will be increased by a few. Ryu came out after watching Angel Wings from the plantation. She leaned close to Liang and whispered, "I have been training for a whole morning. Do you want her to rest?" The white-haired girl would go to the plantation several times a day, either to look at Angel Wings or to sit in a daze under the tea tree. "You can rest after finishing these 30, Liang said solemnly. As a special soldier, he knew what the limits of the Taoist body were. The girl with rabbit ears still has some spare energy and squeezes it to the limit. I said, "Is this kind of training useful?" Liu asked this way more than the first time. The girl with rabbit ears had also been trained before, and the training in front of her seemed to her a bit gentle. "Yes, it's too gentle. I'm laying the foundation." Liang said lightly. He could see some standardized movements that the white-haired girl occasionally performed inadvertently between walking. And some words that the white-haired girl screamed unconsciously in her sleep at night, all show that she had a miserable childhood. Time, also there is time anyway. Liu reacted in shock and said bitterly, "Sorry, I was too anxious." "A drop of Angel's tears has condensed," Liang asked, changing the subject. "Yes, I didn't expect that a drop of Angel tears could be condensed in 10 days. It is incredible." When Liu talked about Angel's tears, her emotions rose suddenly. After all her calculations, it took only about 7 days for Angel Wings to regain its vitality, and a drop of Angel tears could be condensed, which was completely beyond her expectation. Maybe it's because of the Xinghui Te tree. Liang's mouth curled slightly. Xinghui Realm's growth has spawned, allowing the Angel's tears to condense 3 days in advance. I guess so. Every time Liu thinks of the Xinghui Te tree that glows at night, she is amazed. She then said a little distressed, "I just don't have a container to hold Angel's tears." The preservation of Angel tears is too difficult. If it is placed in a normal container, most of the medicinal properties may dissipate soon. Wait to the Yuetan tribe to look for it, maybe you can find a suitable container. Liang didn't have a good solution for this. Stone and wood are not suitable for containers. As for burning glass or something, he knew that it was burned out of sand, and it took time to experiment with what kind of sand to use. Now don't think about it for now. Well, it can only be this way. Liu nodded helplessly. Don't worry, didn't you mean that Tian arrived near the Moon Lake tribe? Liang raised his head and looked into the distance, but did not see the mountain that the white-haired girl was talking about. At the current speed, I will probably reach the mountain near the Yuetan tribe tomorrow morning. Liu sighed. In the past few days, she has been persuading him for a few days, but Liang still insists on going to the Yuetan tribe. Don't worry, I'm here for everything. Liang patted the white-haired girl on the shoulder. He squatted down and said to the rabbit-eared girl, 29, 29, 29, 29, 6, 30. Mino's mouth twitched slightly as he listened to the count, finishing the last 4 push-ups with difficulty. She suddenly lay on the ground and stopped moving. Don't lie on your stomach, sit up. Liang stepped forward and grabbed the rabbit-eared girl by the back collar and lifted it up like a small animal. Oh, Mino panted and sat slumped on the ground. Your physical stamina is still too bad and you have to train for dozens of days. Liang was talking while massaging the acupuncture points on the girl's arm with rabbit ears. I listened to you. Mino nodded weakly and the rabbit ears were soft. The assassinations I taught you yesterday, do you still remember the essentials? Liang gently shook the rabbit-eared girl's arm. In the past few days, in addition to basic physical training for the rabbit-eared girl, he also taught her some important organ knowledge of the human body. How to do one-hit kills and how to make a person incapacitated. Remember piercing the throat, piercing the heart. Mino excitedly wanted to gesture with his hands. Ouch tilde tilde the next second she grinned and raised her sore arm. Let you move around. Liang didn't have a good air. He then massaged the girl with rabbit ears and said, after breakfast you will practice those tricks to assassinate. Good. Mino nodded repeatedly. The girl with rabbit ears doesn't feel hard but finds it very interesting, which is more fulfilling than not knowing what to do every day. After all, she knows very little and is clumsy, so Liang will patiently teach her. What do you think? Get up quickly and take a shower and then eat breakfast. Liang stretched out his hand to pull the girl's rabbit ears. Oh. The ears are almost being pulled by you. Mino complained, but his movements were skillfully dodged. These days, she is always being cuffed by Liang's ears, and both of them have started to play a game of avoiding bunny ears. Don't struggle and you won't be pulled long. Liang grabbed the girl's rabbit ears. Humph, I'll hide it sooner or later, Mino said in a charming hum. You can really hide, then you can go to the teacher. Liang said lightly, wait and see. Mino got up with a small mouth and staggered into the room. Remember to wash with warm water. Liang shouted, understood. The crisp sound of a girl with rabbit ears came from the room. Your relationship is really good. Liu's cold tone unconsciously with a touch of envy. Do you also do push-ups? I can massage you. Liang turned his head and said with a surprised expression, or do you want to be cuffed by me? Don't pull your ears. Liu Kaiao's face flushed and wailed, I'm going to cook breakfast. She made an excuse and ran into the house shyly. How about I massage your thighs? Liang shouted with a smile at the corner of his mouth. You not wanting face. Liu staggered and almost fell on the ground. Ha ha ha, Liang smiled heartily. Amusing a cold white-haired girl every day is also a joy for the day. Night. After the 3 of them had dinner, they packed up the things that were going to enter the Yuetan tribe tomorrow. Crack, click tilde tilde, using a saber, Liang slowly carved patterns on the surface of a box, intending to make an exquisite box for the Xinghui tea leaves. A good product must have a beautiful and tall packaging before others will value it and be precious. I will be at the Moon Lake tribe tomorrow. Mino lay his hands on the tabletop, longing forward. I don't know if Big Sis is in the Moon Lake tribe or not. Liang's sculpted hand paused and inadvertently reminded, your big sis may not have settled in the Yuetan tribe. It seems to be too. Mino's longing pretty face flashed with a trace of disappointment. What does your big sis look like? Liang put down his saber, pulled a piece of white cloth and nailed it on the drawing board. He found charcoal to sharpen it and whispered softly, describe what your big sis looks like. I will help you draw out the appearance of your big sis. Then you can ask the people in the Moon Lake tribe. Can my big sis really be drawn? Mino asked in surprise. There should be some similarities. Liang said calmly, when special forces are out on missions, they sometimes use sketches of the enemy's appearance, and the appearances he draws are somewhat similar. Liu came over curiously and wanted to see how she could draw a person's appearance just by describing it. My big sis is very beautiful, but I don't like to laugh. I am a bit coldly like Rizuki in temperament. Mino pointed his chin, recalling the appearance of Big Sis, focusing on the comparison with the white-haired girl. Get along for a few days. The rabbit-eared girl's fear of life has passed, and she can talk to the white-haired girl normally. The corner of Liu's eyes twitched, and I really couldn't help being cold. The focus is on appearance, looks, what kind of eyes and nose. Liang couldn't do anything. Describe how beautiful people are. How do I start? Oh, I think about it. Mino pulled the rabbit ears embarrassedly and thought for a while and said, Long black hair, a pair of cat-like ears, a more beautiful face than me, red pupils. Shusha. After listening to the intermittent descriptions of the girl with rabbit ears, Liang formed pieces in his mind. After spending half an hour, a cold black girl with long hair and cat ears appeared on the canvas. Does it look like your big sis? Liang flipped the drawing board and said, if there is anything that is not the same, I will revise it if you point it out. Huh, it looks a bit like it. Mino's blue eyes lit up. Corresponding to the appearance of Big Sis in her memory, she pointed out the points to be modified. That is, the nose should be higher, the eyebrows should be shorter, and the corners of the mouth should be lowered a little bit. It will be done soon. Liang revised the portrait. It took a few minutes and the portrait was modified again. Liang looked weird after reading the revised portrait. How, let me see. Minuo probe urged, look at it. Liang handed over the drawing board. Wow. This is what my big sis looks like. Mino shouted excitedly, holding the drawing board. It seems to be about the same age as you now. Liu finished reading the portrait. She was very surprised that Liang's painting skills were really good at describing the appearance of people by describing them. The painting that was not modified at the beginning, I think it looks like your big sis grows up. The white-haired girl then expressed her opinion. Huh. Is that true? Mino was dumbfounded and looked at the big sis on the drawing board seriously. It seems to be what big sis looked like 4 years ago in memory. It's okay, the appearance of 4 years ago is more accurate. Liang patted the charcoal powder on his hands. I want to keep this painting. Mino happily held the painting, got up and ran to the room. Liang raised his voice and reminded, don't forget to bring the picture with you tomorrow and use it to find someone. I remember, Mino said crisply from the room. Liu glanced at the bunny-eared girl's door, moved to Liang's side, lowered her voice and asked, do you really think you can find Mino's big sis? Oh, Liang sighed. When Liu heard the sigh, she knew that it was impossible to find the big sis of the girl with rabbit ears. She frowned her snow-white eyebrows and asked, if that's the case, don't you remind her? Know it earlier and let it go. After all, Miner's big sis should not be big 4 years ago. It is impossible to survive in the wilderness alone when you think about it. Minuo is very smart and knows what he is doing. Liang said gently. He took the saber and carved it again. Could Miner not know? No, she knew that the hope of finding Big Sis was very slim. But if you don't want to find Big Sis, maybe you can't find it. Moreover, the idea of searching for Big Sis is the gentleness between Liang and the girl with rabbit ears. It is also Liang deliberately maintaining a bit of fantasy of a girl with bunny ears. So, Liu understood in an instant, and she felt confused. She bit her lip and lowered her head. Her little hand gripped the corner of her dress tightly, and she felt a little jealous in her heart. Are you envious of Liang's goodness to Mino, or is it a relationship between two people? Liu didn't know it herself, or she had both. She suddenly felt a little uncomfortable and her emotions were inexplicable. The atmosphere suddenly fell silent. What's wrong with you? Liang felt something wrong and looked up in surprise. Nothing, I'm back to the room. Liu's face panicked. She hurriedly turned around and ran back into the room with her skirt hem. Pounced the white-haired girl threw herself on the bed, her little hand covering her sullen heart. What the hell is this feeling? What an annoying feeling. Liu's mind was messy and upset, which made people feel motivated. After many days of getting along, she unknowingly merged into the life of the two. The white-haired girl's heart opened a gap quietly. Ryu didn't know yet, she had already tried to feel jealous for the first time.